I look forward to right now. I'd be going home to watch baseball. It doesn't exist right now. And every time I remind myself of that fact, I get downright depressed, frustrated. But what I am still going and checking MLB Network because they're rerunning old games. I did it over the weekend. I didn't think, because when this first happened, let's just bring it back to Florida State, for example. The Florida State community, if you just looked on Twitter or warchant.com or wherever you went, they were watching, most all of us were watching, classic moments in Florida State sports. Rewatching big games, national championship games, games that help lead to a program taking a step forward, whatever it might be. And I couldn't really do it. My head wasn't there yet. And I think it's because I was so immersed in basketball still. And I am very regimented when it comes to seasons. It's basketball season, it's not football season. It's baseball season, it's not, you know what I mean? Like when these things start, I'm in and I've moved on from this other thing and I'll come back around when it's time for those other sports. So I've never been a guy that in March or April or May can sit down and watch 1993 Florida State, Nebraska. That doesn't do it. I mean, if I'm flipping around and it's on something, I may keep it on there for a few minutes and, I remember this play. Oh, my God, I forgot about him. What a good player. But I don't sit and watch it.
Now, if it came on around Christmas time, you're locked in.
I'm locked in. Right. I could do that. Absolutely. So the only kinds of old games I'm watching now or going back through is basketball or baseball. I'm doing that with basketball and baseball more than anything else. And a little bit of, what was on over the weekend? I don't know if you saw it. Nadal Federer from 2008?
No. The Wimbledon?
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
That was something else.
An all-timer. It was on. And by the way, my son brought it up, and I thought about it too. Why do things that were filmed just 4 and 5 years ago look like they were filmed in 1962? I mean, I can't believe the advancements in technology. It is insane. If you watch something from 2010, when did we get high definition? When did we get
04 was when it was really. I remember 04. Here's why. Lightning Flames Stanley Cup Finals. Lightning winning Game 7. They had changed the set of SportsCenter to the HD red and blue background
I remember that.
set.
That's right.
The first day was
hell.
June of 2004. It
Right.
changed from the brown one to that 3D looking.
Yeah. Well, then why, if I'm watching a game from 2011, do I feel like I'm watching a game from 1956? Yeah. It's unreal.
Right. Yeah, well, and it makes sense, like, if you're thinking about 02, 03, when they were rolling it out to certain TV networks.
Yeah,
so
because
ESPN
even
had
then,
an HD version, and then I remember the Bucks Super Bowl. I watched the first half in HD at my sister's house because she had one of those giant high-definition televisions that had, like a 1.5 feet deep for a projector screen. But it wasn't propagated to all the other channels until a couple years later. But I agree with you. I saw last week, I think it was maybe NBA TV had it, and it was Celtics and Lakers 2008 NBA Finals. It was Game 4 of the series on NBA TV, and it's in standard def. That's not possible. I watched that game in high definition back in 2008.
Yeah.
So did they not want to spend the money or did they not want the server space to be taken up to put that game somewhere in HD? Why am I watching the finals, Kobe versus the Celtics in 2008, the big three? Why is that in standard def? What are we doing?
Yeah, and, it's funny because our mutual friend and my old producer, Matt Millar, I'm sure has encyclopedic knowledge of each advancement with the HD technology because he was always about it.
Well, you're talking about pixels, refresh rate, all that kind of stuff.
So I understand that even amongst HD broadcasts, the versions improved over time. Like certain things that were in HD. Your first HD television looks like ass compared to the HD television you bought last year. I got you. But I don't know why the broadcasts look like they were filmed in black and white. It's insane. I'm looking at several of these events. I was watching. You watched it too. Match play.
Last year's match play?
So it looks great. If you go back just 2 years to match play, because they were showing various match plays over the years now, you don't have to go back, but say 2016 to noticeably discern that there is a difference between what was filmed and the way it looked and what you're seeing today.
If I had to guess, it's that the files, those video files,
It has to
are
be.
so massive that they decided to save a lower fidelity version of the entire broadcast, and then
It drives me nuts,
they keep
though.
the highlights of the big parts in the actual 1080p or whatever it was that they recorded in.
Yeah, I keep now I am watching. Like, it's interesting. You said you were watching NBA stuff. Yeah, I'll do that. But I was watching baseball games, big moments. We were watching a game in which Mike Trout went 5 for 5. Bryce is starting to get fixated on Mike Trout. I said, that's a good player to watch highlights from, son. I'll watch him with you because you know what? One of the great regrets I have is that he plays in Anaheim and none of us get to see him.
You know what? The whole East Coast,
Yeah.
baseball-loving East Coast, should watch Mike Trout stuff for about an hour or two.
Go do it because we went down the rabbit hole. Okay, so they were showing on MLB Network lots of the best players in the league, Mookie Betts and all these different players, the best moments of their last 2 years or first 3 years or whatever it might be, and they had a whole thing on Mike Trout, and he is a freak, and sometimes you need to be reminded of that fact, especially if you're East Coast living, because you get to see it on SportsCenter or something like that. You're like, oh, Mike Trout hit a home run. It's not the same as watching a guy play day in and day out. That's the beauty of a long season and following a team. If you've got a superstar, you see the ways that he impacts a game more than anybody else does. And it could be things that show up statistically and things that don't. I remember one time you were talking about you begrudgingly, you were talking about Bryce Harper having an impact on a series and on a game.
Yeah, how many bases he saved by cutting off singles and
things like that.
limiting them to singles instead of doubles, or you respect his arm so
Accurate throws.
a base hit to right center field would score a runner if it wasn't for that dude and
Yeah.
his speed.
You were about
But
to
the
call him
third
something
base,
else.
I got to be careful.
Yeah.
This is still live radio.
Yeah.
And that was the good year. Like he goes on and off. That was his career before Philly. It was like MVP year, above average year, MVP year, and it was one of those years. And it was a 3-game series. And I swear to God, like the run differential for the 3 games might have been 2 runs. He accounted for 5.
Yeah, he won the series.
Either way, he played. Both sides of the ball.
You see
Crazy.
that when you watch somebody on a nightly basis. And I can only imagine what it's like to watch Mike Trout every night. Now, his teams suck, and that's because they can't pitch, and they lose all the time. I mean, it's crazy. But you think about how bad would they be if that dude didn't play in those 3 games in this series, and maybe they lose the series 2-1 instead of getting swept. But nonetheless,
right, it's easier to see with a pitcher. When a pitcher leaves a rotation,
Dominant,
you can see
yeah.
how valuable he is.
yeah,
But when a position player stands out,
that much.
that tells you a completely different story about the stratosphere that they live in that nobody else does.
We were watching him, and the high definition, back to that for a second, was great because the 5 for 5 game was just from a couple years ago. So it didn't look much different. But they were showing some of his highlights from his rookie season. And like the differential between what I just saw in that highlight package and then the one that was from a year and a half to 2 years earlier is profound.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing I'd point to. All right, so all our favorite watering holes that we can't wait to get back to.
Ugh.
And they all have TVs mounted
Damn it,
throughout.
man.
Corner Pocket is a great example because we've been going there since 2009, 2010, something like that, where
Yes.
we've had a relationship with them. Well, remember, when they phase in new televisions and they've got older ones that are HD, they are high
They
definition.
are high definition.
You say, I don't want my game on this
don't put my
suck-ass
game on
TV. Right? Quote, unquote.
Yes.
I don't want it on that one. I want it on
have
one of the
said
good
that.
ones.
Yeah.
And you know what? There was a time that game that you don't want it on that TV. There was a time when that TV was the best in the fleet.
Yeah. Make sure my game's on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the circle of HD life. And it's not just because the television technology itself, the actual hardware of the television got old. It's because the technology got old.
It's why I'm going to cut the throat of the television in my back room. He's a goner.
You still haven't made the move?
I still haven't made the move because I blame my wife. She keeps telling me it's working fine. I'm like, it's 25 years old. This is ridiculous. It is HD. It's like the first year of HD.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Ultravision.
I'm pissed about it. I'm pissed thinking about it.
You've been pissed on these airways for 3 years about that
It
television.
won't die. It will not die.
The kid came in, he
That
fixed
kid
it.
came in and fixed it. He went on to Harvard. That's a true story. That kid is a badass. He should be in charge of very important things in this country.
Like getting us back out to our favorite watering hole.
Yes, but that kid can save any electronic device and make it so that it never breaks again. It's a curse. He's too good at what he does. He's too good at what he does.
Like Hitachi, right? Should pay for his services not to work.
Yeah.
Because you know what? They can't roll out their new televisions every 5 years or 4 years.
Yes, that's right. Planned obsolescence, as it's called. Yes, it drives me nuts. Yes, they actually literally make things intentionally to break.
How about $1 billion not to work? What do you say?
But that makes me angry about that television in the back. That it broke in a timely fashion, the way it was supposed to break. After 5 or 6 years of running, it was like, that's it, no mas, I'm done. Kid came out and told me it was the color board. Proceeded to take the television apart, fix the color board. He goes, should be good for another couple years, maybe 3. You're probably going to get a new one. By the time this one breaks, you're going to want to get a new one anyhow because the technology is going to be so great. He even explained it to me. He's like, it's going to be so great that you wouldn't want this television anyhow. But I've set it up now. It probably should be good. Won't burn out again for another 2 to 3 years. If I could get a hold of that son of a bitch and tell him, it hasn't broken 17 years.
Yeah, right.
You are a god.
You are the woman from the Titanic. It's been 84 years.
And I'm staring at this television. It's like those televisions that came in, they were in the box thing. What are those?
Cardboard box.
No. No, they would come in wood. They were a piece of furniture, and they would swivel.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, sure. Hotels, the good hotels had those.
I'm like one step removed from that damn television. I've got the one that came after that. That's the one in my room that is still working. It will not stop working.
You got the one with the knob on the front, and it clicks. Like, it actually gets jammed a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm going to go kick it when I get home. Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Tether roof off, we gonna tether roof off the mother sucker. Tether roof off the sucker. Tether roof off, we gonna tether roof off the mother sucker.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Auto.
Yeah. Lechon asado.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Arroz con polo.
Arroz con pollo.
4 Cubans.
4 Cubans.
Polo a la plancha.
Pollo a la plancha.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's like beans and rice, right? With some plantains. Boom.
Well, the arroz con pollo is plantains and a chicken salad. Roast pork is the lechon asado.
GordosCubanFood.com. Ta-da!
In 1945, Jack Whitten started a glass company in Tallahassee. Now, over 70 years and 3 generations later, it's still working, doing just as Jack wanted, giving his customers real solutions. Local building contractors know Whitten Glass takes care of Tallahassee business, and it's been the Whitten way for over 70 years. Whitten Glass. Since 1945, 850-222-5781 or WhittenGlass.com.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
You know who thinks all wiper blades are created equal? People who've never been stuck with bad ones. Not you. You know what driving with average wiper blades is really like. Worrying about the rain, squinting through the streak marks, and of course, that tense feeling that comes when you can't see the road. For over 100 years, Trico has manufactured premium wiper blades to give you a clear line of sight in any weather conditions. Because on the road, every moment matters. If you're ready to leave average wiper blades behind, stop by your local Advance Auto Parts and get $10 off a pair of premium Trico Onyx wiper blades.
Hi, I'm Joseph St. Germain of Downs and St. Germain Research. We specialize in providing your organization with the information you need for insights, growth, and success. Whether you're a local business owner or represent statewide or national interests, we are a full-service market research firm delivering strategic recommendations since 1981. For more information, head to dsg-research.com today. That's dsg-research.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Lane's Medical Shop has all of your home medical needs. They carry home oxygen, hospital beds, nebulizers, walkers, wheelchairs, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and all sleep apnea supplies. Lane's also has a weight loss clinic in-house, no appointment necessary, including B12 injections and any prescriptions necessary with the lowest prices around, and delivers to Tallahassee in South Georgia. Located only 40 miles from Tallahassee, go see Blake today, 210 West Main Street, Colquitt, Georgia, 229-758-9111.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shara Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com.
Sorry, I always have to wait for that opening line. His voice is fantastic. Chris does a good job. Chris, like he's a friend of mine. Chris Robinson and I just hang out.
Christopher, as he's known.
Chris! Let's crank a little hotel illness here. Let's go. Come on, fire it up. You and your brother, get along for a few minutes just to play that song, please. I know you hate each other. Because they do. Apparently that book is awesome that came out on them. Came out about them last month, 2 months ago. I want to give a quick. This ran long early. Schedule's kind of crazy on the show these days. We're not really following a very strict clock. we haven't in years, but now that's especially true. So this won't be a long segment, but I do want to remember to do this today. Heads up. And we certainly have all been thinking on the regular and taking in, reading an awful lot of stories about those in the healthcare industry and how hard doctors and nurses and all affiliated are working. And you see the videos and you read the stories and you're in awe. In many cases, you're afraid for and or inspired by all of them. And those stories are just breathtaking. It makes you think about how good people can be. And it sheds a light on the better angels of our nature. But I also want to say that a heads up to teachers who are going through a real hard time now. My wife works in the school system, and today's kind of a weird day in Leon County. I don't know what it is throughout the state, throughout the rest of the country. People listen to us from all over. But, you know, we're kind of stuck in a weird situation here where it looks like in some cases kids aren't going to be going back to school. And I'm dealing with this at my house now with a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, and you can't just have them play video games all day, and you've got to go to work, and you're trying to set up things for them now. And it's tough because this online teaching that's taking place now, obviously at universities it's been going on for some time, take online classes. But for middle school kids and elementary school kids, it's really difficult. And I think it's difficult for the teachers from what I'm reading too. And the student face-to-face connections that kids need, especially kids who have learning disabilities in some cases, that stuff's hard, man. And that's, you're reading about that now. And was thinking about teachers today. I was thinking about how hard they're efforting to try to connect still with their students, and it's really difficult.
I think a lot of parents are figuring out and having a greater appreciation for teachers now, too, because they need to be the middle person between the virtual online learning and the actual task being done and wrangling the cats, so to speak, as teachers do every single day.
We changed our schedule in the Cameron household this morning. My wife had to go back to work. I don't want to bitch about that, but it seems inexplicable. But
where does she work? Like general, what kind of sector, what kind of job, do you know?
Yeah,
Would you like to refrain from that, or?
Yeah, she works for Leon County Schools, but
so she's going to work.
She had to go
physically.
Yeah, she had to physically go to work today. Yeah, it didn't make much sense, but she did.
She a custodian?
She's not a custodian. She's not a teacher. Works in the front office. But bottom line is she had to be there, and I'm not going to go down that path. Doesn't matter.
Curious.
Doesn't matter.
I'll say curious. That's all.
Doesn't matter. She didn't. She had to go to work. So the point would be she's at work. That's fine. I'm lucky to have a job. You know, I'm not going to bitch about that. It is a hardship though because we're working, and so trying to figure out. And a lot of parents are doing this. So believe me, I get it. What do you do? What do you do? My kids, I'm lucky, are a little bit older. They're pretty independent, and they've, to a certain extent, proven they can be trusted. I don't know about 9 straight hours or 8 straight hours, but they can be trusted for a stretch. So we're trying to figure it out, right? And so in the mornings, I'm in charge now of a new way of doing things, which is to make sure they have their packets and that they're doing their online classes and that they're sitting down and applying themselves the way they would to some extent if they were actually at school. And, of course, this is met with great resistance because they've had 2 weeks to do nothing and watch their brains turn to mush. But now I'm basically teaching from home until I come into the office, and then Christy comes off on her lunch, and then we tag team, and there's a little window there of 3 or 4 hours where the kids are by themselves. No doubt they're playing video games, and that's fine. They get that little window. But everything else, we're trying to, hey, this will be when we walk the dogs. This is when we work out. Play basketball or whatever we're going to do, right? And this is when you're studying. Clark, I want you to start on this book. You got to read this an hour every day. Bryce, whatever, you pick your book, whatever it might be. Here's when you're doing math. Here's when you're doing science. Here's, all of it.
Separate areas, right? Or else they'd get each other into trouble.
I had them at the same table this morning. That was short-lived. So, now we're going to have to do the different areas, no doubt. And you're right. You talk about realizing the difficulties and understanding how, we're all in it together. We're all trying to get through it. We're all trying to figure it out. But I was thinking about teachers today, and I was thinking about they love to connect. Like your better teachers certainly love to connect with their students. They love to connect face-to-face. They like to get to know their personalities and figure out how they learn. Everybody learns differently. And you try to crack the code, figure out, that kid's a visual learner, or he's more of one of these, he's auditory, or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about my 3 nieces and my 1 nephew, 3 total, 2 and 1, up in Atlanta, how fortunate they are on the one hand because their mother, my sister, is a career educator. Got her undergrad and her master's here at Florida State, completed her PhD in Atlanta. So she is an educator through and through at every level.
That's what she does.
So they're very fortunate because early childhood was the beginning of her career, that they have her. But they're also really unlucky because they're about to get their mom as their teacher.
Yeah.
And she's going to know better, and she's going to have all of the info, and she knows all of the tricks about how kids want to get out of doing tasks. They're screwed. I mean, it's tough enough that they have, their mom because she gets child psych and all that stuff, and she can outline very strict policies. But they get a break from her. No more. That's really unfortunate. But the general public,
no.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of stuff on Facebook today of moms and dads going, whew, so I'm working from home and I have to be their teacher at the same time. Mm-hmm. This is really going to last a long time. About as long as that bottle of liquor in my cabinet when it gets to 5 or 6 o'clock this evening.
There's a whole lot of, I'm not refraining through the work week like I normally do because I don't get the escape that I normally have. Yeah. It ain't easy. So a shout out to all of you who work in schools, and whether you're a teacher or front office staff or anybody for that matter that relates to and interacts with and helps our kids on a daily basis.
And to all the amateur teachers out there right now who are getting their crash course. Bon voyage.
I thought long ago, if I didn't do this, I would I would maybe be a teacher, be a coach and a teacher, because I love sports and I love interacting with kids and coaching. I've done some coaching. But then I thought about the teaching. I went, no, I probably wouldn't do it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the teaching. It's all the discipline stuff that you have to take care of.
That's exactly what I thought about. Yeah, the teaching's great if you can teach. If you have a class that's shut the hell up and listen. See, already that's a problem.
You'd be strict. You got no choice but to be strict.
I got no time. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
On Wednesdays on my show, we're giving away Which Wicked sandwiches. That's right. Tune in to the Jeff Cameron Show every Wednesday for your chance at a free Wicked 5 meats and 3 cheeses of deliciousness. Which is Wicked Wednesdays every week on the JCS.
O'Reilly. You won't want to miss the sale going on now through July 7th at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. Get a $10 car wash kit, red, white, and blue themed accessories, a $6 oil change kit, chemicals, towing supplies, and more. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
Lisa's Paint and Body, now located at 2820 Mahan Drive. License number MV46050.
Come visit the new and exciting Hangar 38. This amazing place is for everyone listening right now. Practice your bowling skills, compete, and have fun. Whether you're a newbie, an all-star, or a beer frame champion, no matter how you roll, you'll find the best place to bowl is at Hangar 38. Hangar 38 is home to over 75 arcade games, so they're sure to have something for everyone. Zeppelin's at Hangar 38 is a premier full-service restaurant and sports bar, and it's also your place for birthday parties and company outings. Tallahassee, what are you waiting for? Come on out to Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shera Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com.
Ashley Home Store's anniversary sale is in its final week. It's your last chance to save up to 30% or get no interest for 6 years. Come in today and let's celebrate together with style. Hurry, the anniversary sale ends Monday. Only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store, Ashley Home Store. This is home. Offer subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
All of us at Jerry's Cigar Shop hope you stay safe during this chaotic coronavirus crisis. Jerry's is open with front door service. Just call ahead to place your order and be sure to ask about free shipping directly to your home. Support of local small businesses here in Tallahassee is so important right now. So Jerry's Cigar Shop is giving 20% of all Regina cigar sales to local food banks to help those financially impacted by this virus. From all of us at Jerry's Famous Cigar Shops, our prayer is that we all come through this together and even stronger.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Obviously the whole Brady, the Bucs right now, Tampa Bay has, the NFL is still really the content in the sports world. If you look, like every day you get up, if you check the sports world, you don't have much right now, but you do have a lot of stuff with the NFL, and where, even where Jameis is going to land is still a topic because there are still some big time free agents. He's amongst them. And they're talking about best fits and why and what that's going to cost a team. And that's actually an interesting discussion. I was asked that question last week, what's a good place for Jameis? And you and I talked about Pittsburgh, perhaps.
The Saints, man. It's the Saints.
Well, yes, but I don't want that to happen, so I'm not going to speak it into being. We'll talk about teams that we don't ever play. Pittsburgh would be a good one. The Chargers. I don't need him in our division, pissed off at the Bucs for eternity. But anyhow, I was not surprised to hear Jason Light say to Mike Greenberg, you saw this, that in the very first phone call that they had with Brady regarding free agency, it wasn't Light pitching Brady, but Brady pitching Tampa Bay on him. And that would help explain Bruce's, I think, entire demeanor from the end of the season to the time it actually happened. Maybe even before. I don't know if that would be tampering. That'd be weird. But
if that first phone call occurred way before they could actually talk to each other, sure. But if it was the actual point at which Tom Brady was available, that would be about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, you and I both know that's not how that works, though. I mean, I'm really sure agents speak to people all the time, and I think as that, even what Brady said after they lost in the playoffs, it didn't sound like a guy that was coming back to New England. He didn't rule it out, but he didn't sound like he was ready to come back to New England. And I think partly because I wonder, there are a lot of dynamics in this that years from now will come out. It's a great male soap opera. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that if New England wanted him back, he'd have been back. If Bill Belichick specifically wanted him back, he'd have been back. Kraft would always want him back. So there's no doubt that this was more about both Brady not wanting to be there and Belichick not wanting him there.
Right. So is it just a fundamental miscalculation of the people who had quote-unquote inside knowledge that money was a factor? Because he took 25-plus incentives. He's not going to hit all those incentives unless we win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's got more money than he'll ever know what to do with, and you couple his wife's net value at $200 million. I guess money really should never have played a factor. I don't. If there's a guy out there who's like, I don't need the money, I just would like to go where I want to go, it would be Brady. He could, control things that he wants. There's no doubt, part of what we've talked about, there's no doubt that when you were looking at the roster, if you're a quarterback, and he has since said this in his press conference, it's my job to watch film and assess what we have, what we don't have, playing to strengths, what's a good fit, what isn't, what's a good play, what isn't a good play. I mean, if you're a quarterback, I don't know that there's too many places right now that you wouldn't want to, that you'd want to play that would be ranked ahead of Tampa, given the weapons. Now, you may look at an O.J. Howard and say, boy, he's trending in the wrong direction, but I could use his body type. And they had something there briefly. All right, I know Brate will sacrifice his body and do anything for me. And I got two magical weapons in Godwin and Evans. And so let's see if we can't get a lineman in here and block it up a little bit. I got a chance to succeed because the defense is on the come. Bowles is a great coordinator. They got things going for him. And so it sounds like that's what Brady did, was that he looked at these rosters and then came up with, I want to go to Tampa. And so the Bucs, a little frustrated, we're wondering, well, what else is out there? We can fall back on Jameis, but I am a little frustrated, and let's see what we got here. And the next thing you know, they get wind that Brady is interested in Tampa. That changes the whole dynamic of the offseason. That changes everything. If you even just get a whisper, hey, Brady might be interested if you're interested, it changes their mindset. And it would help explain why Arians was, so quick to say Brady when he was asked the question. Remember, we had Lita Kemper on, JoeBucksFan.com, and he said that was considered tampering. Like, you really couldn't have said it when he said it, but he did, and he didn't hesitate. It's like the video that everybody's seen now where they ask the guy, choice number A, letter A, you have this, this, and this, and then, or the other one is, I guess the first one is you stay quarantined with your wife and your kids and can't go anywhere, is A, and then choice B, and before they lay it out there, he goes B.
I've not seen that.
It's really funny. I'll show it to you. They don't even say it. He goes B. We're going to go with B. And, I mean, it sounds like that kind of scenario happened for Bruce, where it was like, oh, I can get Brady? Well, we're done here. We're done talking about it. But what he actually said was that on the first day of free agency, March the 18th, Brady was the one selling Tampa on why he should be there. During the legal tampering period, teams were only able to talk to player agents to get a feel for interest. So you were able to talk to player agents. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like to me that agent revealed pretty early on. I guess basically they said they spoke with him for over an hour. He made it clear during the conversation that he was, quote, very, very, very interested. It was almost like a recruitment on his part. He told us why it would make sense for him to come to Tampa. The next call we made, we signed him. But it was at the phone call that we realized that we felt like we were definitely going to get him, or that we had him. So, not a sales pitch that was necessary. It doesn't sound like for Arians, who was already in love. And they both have said, what I think is interesting about this, and I don't know that I disagree with this, I'll have to watch closely, but they said that one of the things that helped make the decision was they don't believe that his arm has declined at all, that he just didn't have weapons to speak of.
Maybe.
That might be true. It might be true.
I don't know. His downfield numbers were identical to Jameis last year. I believe both completions attempts rating, which would be a feather in Tom's cap because he didn't have Evans and Godwin to throw to.
Yeah, that would be huge. They said, in fact, when talking about it, the tape showed us that he had plenty of arm. In fact, we thought that he had an ideal arm for Bruce and his sister. Okay, now you're overstepping. His affinity for taking shots down the field. He can still throw it deep. We felt like the mobility was still the same as he always had, which isn't much. He didn't say that, I did. He's never been able to outrun anybody, but he certainly is good in the pocket in terms of eluding pressure and with his poise and his instincts. We did not see a decline in arm talent whatsoever, and in fact, we feel like he can still play for over 2 years for us. Hopefully that is the case. Well, I guess. I mean, I would be stunned if he's playing at 45, 46, but maybe. It is a new world. We've talked about it a lot, that in today's NFL, where you're not allowed to hit quarterbacks, pretty much. And the rules are set up for the offense almost at every turn. They can be pretty prolific if you just give them a little pocket.
Well, they're younger bodies than they used to be at that age.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of trauma that they've taken. I mean, it's like the opposite of talking about LeBron James and his career. Because of all the playoff series and games that he's played, all but the most recent season with the Lakers for the previous decade. If he is healthy, they're going to the finals.
Yeah,
So
that's the way it's always been, yeah.
How many more seasons of wear and tear is on LeBron's body than his age would suggest?
Oh, sure.
It's the opposite of that for NFL quarterbacks. How many hits did Troy Aikman take by the time he was in his mid to late 30s?
Oh, my God. I think back on that 1-15 season that I watched Dallas have and play out, and the ass beating he took. And by the end, he actually has to retire because of it. But, yeah.
I'm not a huge Troy Aikman guy, the player. I think he's somewhat overrated, but he was part of greatness, and he was a big part of it, so don't get me wrong. But how long could that dude have played with these rules?
Well, and especially because he's a big, strong guy. Like Troy, that's the thing about Troy that, I agree with you. Look, they had the greatest offensive line maybe ever assembled. They had, by the time he retired, the all-time leading rusher in NFL history, Michael Irvin. They had a all-pro tight end. They had, at times, they had more weapons than anybody in the league. Think about Jay Novacek and those guys. It was amazing. Alvin Harper had a hell of a run in Tampa. I mean, in Dallas, but not Tampa.
Not so much
in Tampa.
No. I remember the papers when we got him, and it was like, oh, the savior's here. Not so much.
It didn't work out. But didn't Alvin Harper end up losing a finger somehow? Do I remember this correctly?
That could be accurate.
I feel like he lost a finger somehow. Like it went so bad in Tampa that he actually lost a digit.
We've all lost an appendage in the last few weeks, I think.
But anyhow, yes. So Troy had a lot of things in his favor, including playing on a stacked team. But he was good, and he also was a big dude, a 6'4", 240 guy that could, under these rules, he would have held up for a long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would have held up for a long time. We talked about it last week, and I just can't recommend it enough. I mean, the NFL Network's Football Life series is unreal, and I've started watching it with my kids, many of which I didn't watch before because there were certain guys that I'm like, I know their career, I know their story, I don't need to see it that much. But there have been some that were did you see the Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardle one?
Mm-mm.
No, man, is it good. I mean, it's really good. I don't know why. Somehow I missed the Jimmy Smith's path to prison. I lost track that he straight up ended up being an over-the-top drug addict, that his whole life unraveled once he was out of the league and suspended, and then he came back, and then he retired abruptly, and most people in Jacksonville thought it was because he got popped again and didn't want to face the suspension and the embarrassment. And then from there, he retires, and he goes off the rails again. He stops going home. He doesn't see his wife and kid. I mean, he is a hardcore. They have all this footage of him being arrested in various states. He's about to die, and Keenan McCardle's his best friend and loves him. And McCardle's in Tampa, and they show the whole Super Bowl run in Tampa. And he's emotional talking about how he wished Jimmy could have got a Super Bowl as well because they had played so long together and so well together in Jacksonville. He thought he felt terrible for him. But then he started to investigate more about what his friend was doing and how it was that he'd fallen victim to the throes of addiction. He's okay now, and he's gotten through all of it. And, he nearly died. I had no idea. I also didn't know, I don't think, at the time they stopped playing together, they were like 7th on the all-time list as a duo.
Oh, yes. They were
I knew they were prolific.
Those were my younger years. They were one of the first duos that I can remember.
I mean, I can
remember. They were just badass.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly, everybody of my era remembers Clayton and Duper with the Dolphins, and you just kind of thought about them as almost all-time best because Marino was so prolific. But I don't know, I didn't rank McCardle and Smith in the same category. But so I watched that. They did a Football Life on that duo, on the two of them, and they really kind of showed the trajectory of their careers, how it came to be. There's so many moments, and like you were saying, it's kind of in your younger years, you'll have flashbacks of some great games where Jacksonville was a part of it, and Mark Brunell obviously being what he was, and how good they were for a time.
Dude, when we got Keenan McCardle,
it was a big deal.
That was a huge deal. I was like, holy, you're going to pair him with Keyshawn? We're going to win this thing.
People forget, a lot of people do, especially the ones who insist that it was Tony Dungy's Super Bowl, that's what Gruden did, is he went out and got Keyshawn and McCardle.
Yeah.
He changed the offense. He did everything differently. And he also changed what they could call and what they would call. And he isolated all those matchups. Brad Johnson's in the McCardle and Smith one extensively. And so when you watch it, you'll Brad's awesome. He talks about what he brought to the offense and his work ethic, and you get great footage in practice of Gruden talking to McCardell, talking to Keyshawn, talking to Brad, colorfully as he was wont to do. Sideline stuff that's really good.
Well, I mean, and you could tell the back shoulder throw or to the front pylon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, that was like instant.
It almost hits him in the face. He almost doesn't get his head around it.
Right. Well, because they had worked on it so often, you could tell that's just something that was in their base. And Gruden knew. You can't stop this because it's a two-man game. They know where each other's going to be. They know where the ball is going to be. The defender has no chance in this situation.
It's really cool to watch. And that throw, man, Brad puts it on him. You're like, it is now.
That's the Gruden, watch this.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
he tells his coaches, watch this.
Yeah.
It's a touchdown right here, boys.
But also, there's a moment after the game that I don't remember, and I maybe I should go back and watch that entire season, but where Gruden walks over to him. He goes, "Hey, Keenan, come here," and he puts his arm around him. He goes, "Well, I tell you," because he pitched him and said, "If you come, we're winning the Super Bowl. We are winning the Super Bowl if you come to Tampa." And McCardell says in the interview, "Well, I was sold. I mean, when John Gruden calls you and tells you, if you come, we're winning a Super Bowl, that's it. It's over. We've got it. You just need to come on." And he said he was instantly sold. So the game ends, and he's got his arm around McCardell, and Gruden's smiling at him. And McCardell's trying not to cry. He's so happy. And Gruden says, "What'd you score? 2 touchdowns today? You scored 2 touchdowns today?" And McCardell smiles and says, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, you did, didn't you?" It's great.
So,
yeah.
But did it get into his ugly exit in Tampa at all? How he was pissed off at Gruden? That was always the talk in town, is that McCardell hated John's guts because John lied to him about a restructure.
John lied to everybody about a restructure.
Yeah.
I think John plays the role of mercenary head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not equally as mercenary as a player or whose agent isn't, you can be taken advantage of. I think Gruden plays the game for the organization to the hilt. I think he's ruthless. And I've often thought there's just been too many players that left John Gruden coach teams that were like, "That guy's a snake." He looked me in the eye and told me that I was getting a 3-year deal, and the next day they cut me. You know, it's like, I don't know. I think it's probably true. I think he's probably straight up on behalf of the organization lied.
That's Rodney Dangerfield and Back to School. I'm going to ask you one time.
Yeah.
Is this your work? I can't lie to you, Dean Martin. Yes, it is.
It's a great scene, by the way, the way he delivers that line.
There's another Gruden video that came out this weekend. It was actually film of the Bucs defense going against Michael Vick, and it was like their reaction to seeing him on film for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And Warren Sapp is the first person who was quoted. He's laughing at his own jokes because he's uncomfortable with silence. But he's talking about how they're in the film room, and it's him and Simeon. And Simeon Rice says, "Is this a highlight film?" And Warren goes, "No, man, this is the third down reel. This is just what he does."
It's just what he does.
And that nobody had ever seen it. So they knew that they had it, big time. They had a big-time project ahead of them. Derek was looped in, of course, to be the spy. And Derek Brooks is the greatest spy of all time, considering what Michael Vick was. Nobody had seen it, and there was an antidote, and his name was Derek freaking Brooks.
He was the only one in the league.
Right. And they shut him down. He ran for 17 yards in that game against the Bucs. And then Gruden's postgame was the one that captured my attention because he could be captivating in this way. All snakes can, right? You wouldn't be a snake unless there was something, awesome about you, or at least charismatic. And he's like, "All I heard all week was, how do you stop this guy? How do you stop Michael Vick? Not one person said, how do you stop this defense? Great job today, guys." And then they all went freaking crazy, and then that was the end of the clip.
Well, and the weird part is with Gruden, and we've gone off on a tangent here, but I don't hate him for being that kind of snake, if that makes any sense. I mean, he's a mercenary, and he's pretty obvious about it. I mean, I think, and he wins. I mean, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what goes on in Oakland. They had a better year than people thought they were going to have.
They had a good start. Man.
They had a good start to the year. They crashed late, but they did surprise people for a while there. I don't know. I'll be fascinated. I don't think that John's necessarily a bad guy. I'm curious as to whether or not the game's passed him by, for starters. But
I think he's one of the types that if the player saw him years later, "I had to do it, man."
He would say that.
And they'd be like, "I hate you, but I still love you."
Yeah, right. Like, so Parcells and guys like that, you see that sort of. I mean, Phil Simms is still hurt to this day about some of the things that Parcells did to him, said to him, said to the press. But you'll always hear in those moments when, at the end of the documentary, they're like, well, but I love him. I mean, I'm better because I was around him.
Sure.
Like they concede it, and I think that's probably what people say with Gruden. They're like, well, I mean, he just straight up lied to me.
Well, in the interviews you've done with Brad, it's almost on the way in because Gruden never wanted him to be the starter. So
Right.
Brad got like the reverse Gruden experience.
Yeah, Gruden ended up loving him.
Right.
Because he proved him wrong.
Yeah.
Time and again. It is weird that he never wanted him. And Brad, it's not like Brad.
I got to start this gimpy son of a.
Yeah, but it's crazy to me, though, that he didn't like him, and yet he loved veteran quarterbacks. And Brad had accomplished something. Brad had been to a Pro Bowl. Brad had thrown for over 4,000 yards in Washington. Brad had done something.
Because he liked mobile quarterbacks. He wants somebody who can move. He wanted Rich Gannon, too. That's what he thought Rob Johnson was. If I can mold Rich, I can mold Rob Johnson into this
But
thing.
Rich wasn't running around. Rich was a washed-up bum who he made an MVP, but it wasn't because Rich was running around. I mean, Gruden was inconsistent with his desires for certain quarterbacks. I mean, Brian Greasy's sorry ass.
Yeah, Brian Greasy. He had it in Luke McCown. I swear, if he actually used his talents to mold Luke McCown, he would have been an above-average starter. I'm not talking about, perennial Pro Bowler. That dude had the skill set.
That league is filled with guys, had they gone to different places and been coached by different, either coordinators or quarterback coaches or head coaches who were offensive-minded. I mean, you think about the guys that went to teams. We've done this before over the years. You and I have, Campbell and any number of other guys where we've gone, boy, that's a toughie.
David Carr.
Yeah.
David Carr went to the Texans and was killed. A different version of him appeared in Carolina years later. It was his doppelganger. But that man was hollow. That wasn't the Carr that was picked number 1 overall. That dude was a freak.
And just took an ass beating. Anyhow, the football lives are something to are really something to behold. They're good, every one of them. And Clark is getting addicted. And we went to bed, and you know what one we watched the other night as we went to bed? Because he was sitting right next to me. He goes, I'll go to bed after I watch this one. I said, all right, come on, get in here. Steve Smith. You seen the Steve Smith one?
I have.
Yeah. The son of a bitch in him comes out.
Oh, my God.
He's
two different people.
It's unreal.
At the same time.
But if he's on your team, you love the hell out of him.
You see him in his house
Oh, he's a
with
great
his family?
guy. Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
And he gets in his studio. He's just like he was in the field. He's just a complete reprehensible ass.
But one, if he's on your side, you really want.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Hope you're well. Just reading an article during the break about the upcoming NFL draft. I know we can't do what we would traditionally do. Wonder if there's a way to connect. The NFL draft is always such a big party. Our friends at Bumpos would have been hosting us. Don't forget, still You can pick up curbside takeout, all that good stuff from Bumpa's. You can do it from Gordo's. You can do it from Corner Pocket, I think, is still doing that, yes?
Yeah, tomorrow starting at 4 p.m., CP is back up and running. 4 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday will be their hours, and it's going to be mostly wings and baskets of fries from here on out. The deal, well, since I know it, $10 gets you 10 wings and a basket of fries all day, every day.
Not bad. I like it. Yeah. And listen, everybody's doing what they can right now. I understand that we're all affected in different ways. And I mean that both emotionally, but also financially. So you do what you can do. But there are a lot of great organizations out there right now trying to help local restaurants and small businesses. And you can find them online. But, one of the things we can do, if you can do it, is to think about it, even if it's just once a week. Maybe get some curbside takeout from one of your favorite places around town, because they're hurting. They're hurting big time right now. And so, and the food, if you love the place, traditionally you love the place partly because of the people and the atmosphere and all that, but obviously the food was a big part of what made you fall in love with the place. So,
100%.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of nights a week mapped out. Making sure that if we have to divert funds from something else that's discretionary, say a grocery item, that do we really need this? Okay, let's put that on the shelf and let's go order from around town. Yeah, we rotate.
The NFL, we talk about what we can do to try to connect. I don't know what that will be, but everything's virtual right now. The 3-day draft, by the way, was scheduled to be held in Las Vegas on April the 23rd. We're finally about to enter into April, and my God, I've never had such disdain for something as arbitrary as a month in the year, but I am done with you, March, eternally.
March is
Good
always
Christ almighty.
It's always a great month. And I think that's the thing. I don't think I know. When you talk about, your soul being ripped out sports-wise, not being able to watch.
Yeah, we could have done this in July.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Although that
then
would
football
have
would
been
have been
against
dead,
football,
But the basketball program, it's not even hockey. It's not the Stanley Cup playoffs that would start in a week and a half. It's that we didn't get to see this thing through. And I really wanted to see how that movie ends. Even if it was a second-round exit, you would juxtapose another trip to the tournament with an ACC regular season title and maybe an ACC tournament title. Man, that's the one. I'll never get over it. As long as I live, I'll never get over this.
Well, and we'll never know. I actually think they were going to win the ACC tournament because I think they wanted to. Every indicator that I got was that they wanted to. And that team, which won 16 of the 20 league games it played, showed that when it wanted to win games, it just straight up did. And I think they were the better team. I think they were better than Duke. I talked about that during the course of the year, even that loss up there by 5 points on the road in which we played terrible. I think we would have beat Virginia. Remember, we didn't have Patrick Williams for that second game, so I think we would have won that game. I actually think we might have won that game going away. I actually think we're a matchup problem for them with him.
Yes. Yeah, well, and that version of him.
Yeah, that version of him. So, no, I would have wanted to play that game. I don't know who would have beaten us. I mean, I'm sure, I get it any given day. But, no, I think we were going to win the 3 games we had to win the ACC tournament title, and we would have stormed into the NCAA tournament as a 2 seed, maybe even an outside chance at a 1 seed. And I don't know what would have happened, but we would have won the 2 games in Tampa. So we would have gone to the Sweet 16, and then it would have been, okay, let's get it on. It's a matchup. But, yeah, man, it's heartbreaking. It's frustrating. We adjust, and the NFL is adjusting. I mention it because a lot can happen between now and April the 23rd, but what they're talking about doing now is working on a virtual solution that will incorporate prospects in the broadcast from their particular locations. Which is nice because that is part of the draft that you like, is seeing the kid after he gets drafted. Just his reaction and even just going up there on stage and taking the picture. It's all part of it. They won't be able to do that now, but they are expecting current and former players to take part in the draft. And in addition to that, they're talking about Rich Eisen and the anchors that for the draft for the NFL Network are going to do, I guess, something a little bit different than their usual studio setting. But they may just do some sort of podcast type thing from their houses.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's odd. Well, I mean, so what are you going to get? Like when the commissioner makes an announcement, it's almost like a closed circuit television feed, and he's like in a room somewhere? Okay.
I'll watch it, though. And
Hello,
we all
comrades.
We all will, man. It's going to be fascinating. But the draft is always awesome for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's a chance for your team to get better, and there are curious choices, whether we see them actually in a room in a great place like Las Vegas taking the stage, or whether or not we're at home watching some sort of virtual draft. The curious decisions will still take place. The debate can still take place. We'll be sitting at home instead of being at Bumpa's, which would have been awesome, but we'll be able to kind of text each other, whoa, what were they doing there at number 5? That's nuts.
Hey, man, I don't want to volunteer us for extra work, but maybe we can be right here for a YouTube stream, and we'll have it on, and we can react pick by pick.
Are we allowed to have a few tasty adult beverages while we do that?
Maybe a different channel. It might not be the ESPN official channel.
Right,
Maybe
right.
be one of our own.
Let's
we
do
create
the
our own
draft.
channel.
I'm up for that because that is a fun tradition every single year, and we have always enjoyed that. People come and they wear their jerseys, they have fun.
Yeah.
We all yell at each other. It's a good time.
We could put the feed on, and then that's how it works. What do you think?
I'm in. I'm willing to do it. I'll bring the beers. You get the
I'll go pick up the Bumpa's since that's where we were going to be.
That's exactly
I think it's only
right.
fair, right?
Yeah,
Uncle
I'm in.
Sal, Giant Pretzel, I'm in.
A lot of fun. I'm in too. So if that happens, and let's seriously start to look at this, but I have a sports thing that I can look forward to, the draft. Everything else is being taken. Give me the draft.
Well, listen, I don't know if ESPN's still going to do it, but they had the draft on the radio. They had the plan for it. I would think they're going to carry it. It'd be a weird version of it, but I'm sure that if ESPN Radio can carry it, they're going to do it.
Without question. And here's the thing. The draft doesn't need the cameras. It doesn't. It's fine that it's going to have kids that are going to be able to, be on their computer or whatever, FaceTiming it, whatever. You have so much analysis that can take place for every single player. It can take up so much time just breaking down who a player is, what he accomplished, where he played, how he's best going to be suited for, whomever it is that drafts him, what he can and can't do, the debate about that, all that stuff can still happen.
Mm-hmm. I like this idea. This sounds like a fun, first round. So it'll be the NJCS, the No Judgment Cameron Show. There it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I that's usually us we have a table at Bumpa's and we sit and have a few pops and we laugh and talk about that decision, or we relish the opportunity to celebrate or be forewarned.
Now we're at the desk. We'll have the giant cups. Maybe we'll have those cups filled with something choice. I don't know.
I like it.
Probably.
We should do it. All right, so let's look forward to that. NFL physicians, by the way.
Try not to catch anything between now and then, okay?
I'm not going to catch it.
Thank you.
NFL officials said that the NFL Physician Society, did you know that was a thing?
No. We're going to learn a lot about more medical groups. Though.
Yeah, they're going to suspend physicals prior to the draft, so I don't know. It's going to be a dicey deal. Kind of like, is your knee okay? It is. All right, we'll take him. I have no idea if he's lying to me or not, but okay, we're good to go.
Serious, don't get sick. I need this.
No, I need this too. I'm looking forward to it. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's time to unite, Tallahassee. After years of our great local restaurants serving us, it's our turn to serve them. With this simple purchase of gift cards, we can help them survive the financial toll of COVID-19. Buy them for yourself, your family, or as gifts. No doubt we'll all have a reason to go out and celebrate soon as we safely can. Go to hungertohelp.com and show your support for the heart of our community today. This message brought to you in part by your local Tallahassee radio broadcasters.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
You can't protect against everything life has in store, but you can sure try. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, we help you protect your investment with regular maintenance options that can keep your system safe. Receive same-day service when you sign up for the Total Comfort Service Program at BaranoAC.com. Florida license number CAC 1816186.
Hi, I'm Joseph St. Germain of Downs and St. Germain Research. We specialize in providing your organization with the information you need for insights, growth, and success. Whether you're a local business owner or represent statewide or national interests, we are a full-service market research firm delivering strategic recommendations since 1981. For more information, head to dsg-research.com today. That's dsg-research.com.
You know who thinks all wiper blades are created equal? People who've never been stuck with bad ones. Not you. You know what driving with average wiper blades is really like. Worrying about the rain, squinting through the streak marks, and of course, that tense feeling that comes when you can't see the road. For over 100 years, Trico has manufactured premium wiper blades to give you a clear line of sight in any weather conditions. Because on the road, every moment matters. If you're ready to leave average wiper blades behind, stop by your local Advance Auto Parts and get $10 off a pair of premium Trico Onyx wiper blades.
Need help moving? Two Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit twomen.com or call them at 850-224-2232. Two Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Journey has fired their bassist and drummer over an alleged coup d'etat.
What? What?
A coup.
No, what we can't believe is that you pronounced that correctly. What is happening right now, you guys were writing something into the script that you knew he was going to butcher, and he hit you with coup d'etat, read correctly, and you guys are stunned back there.
What were you guys thinking? Coup d'etat?
Yeah, I thought you would be frozen in fear at what you were looking at.
That's a big upset. Guillermo, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is Stugatz correctly pronouncing coup d'etat the single biggest upset in the history of sports?
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
This has the feel of a very depressing week. It's only Monday, but it has the feel of a very depressing week. I just think, and we knew the news was going to get worse. As testing became more available, as more tests happened, you would see a huge spike in numbers all around the country, and that's what's happened. And then also the fallout now of weeks having gone by, it's becoming all the more real. We're losing people. People are dying and or are infected in ICU, et cetera. I'm a big music guy, so reading about John Prine last night, I went, no, great, okay. Freaking virus is going to get John Prine. Knock on wood, it hasn't yet, so maybe it won't. But, you're starting to read this. Tony Baselli tested positive today. That's not music. That's the former All-Pro. I don't know about today, but he's in the hospital. So he's
Is
tested.
he really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, Tony Baselli is. Interesting, by the way, I was talking about the Keenan McCardle, Jimmy Smith thing on the NFL Network. He's in it. Tony Baselli's in it, talking about them because obviously he played with them. So
he's Mr. Jaguar more than Mark Brunell could ever be.
Yeah. And so it's interesting you bring that up, by the way. He would be Mr. Jaguar along with what's his face, Maurice Jones-Drew, I think.
Yep.
Or Fred Taylor.
Old Fragile Fred.
Fred was, when he played, he was really good.
I enjoyed Fragile Fred's career, and this because of fantasy football. I could always get him late because people would,
Yeah, he kept getting hurt. But when he played, he was great.
But if he gives you 12 a year, at that point, 12 good games is better than 16 sorry games, and I played a full season league.
Yeah, Fred was a really good player. God, you forget about him. They had some backs. Maurice Jones-Drew was a stud, too. Man.
Absolutely.
A little bowling ball you didn't want to try to tackle.
No, we'll see what Fournette becomes. It feels like there were shackles
the resurgence there at the end.
With Coughlin, there were a lot of shackles on what they wanted to do.
Yeah, so anyhow, Baselli. So it's just the fallout now, musicians and various people that we turn to for escapism. Not people that we necessarily know, but just people that we've watched from afar, maybe appreciated their work, appreciate what they bring to the table. And then also today, the news, it's not official. They're saying it's going to become official this Wednesday. Wimbledon will not take place in 2020. I thought of all of the big events that were forthcoming, this would be the next domino to fall. You figure the amount of travel that has to be done in order for Wimbledon to take place. And, we always think of the finals being in July 4th weekend, but the tournament starts in June. And so, you go through the qualifying rounds and all of that. You're talking about late June getting started. And, I just figured that'd be the next to fall.
Well, having been in London a few years ago now, I could tell you that we were there for the touristy season, but talking with the locals, it's overcrowded in the regular time of the year.
Yeah.
And so can you imagine an infusion into Heathrow or Gatway for international you're talking about locales all around the world that are going to have different experiences with COVID at that point in time. They're either going to be on the way up or they're going to be on the way down. When you talk about a second wave and the potential for a second wave in any community or country, it's because of crazy travel like that. And London is already so densely populated that that's a recipe for disaster. So it doesn't surprise me either.
Which one did you fly in through? I'm not being a jerk. It's Gatwick. But did
Thank you.
Yeah, no. But
clearly not that one. It was Heathrow.
But I was going to say, which one did you fly into? Yeah,
I went through the hell.
Yeah.
Both in and out.
It's a million miles away from anything.
Well, but also it's customs. The customs actually on the way out of the country is worse than the customs coming in. And both are ridiculous. They were preposterous, the amount of waiting that was
I
done.
went to London in 1995. Might have been 7. Anyhow, it was, I think it was 95. Anyhow, long story short, it's been a long time. But it was overcrowded when I went.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I just mean, okay, so they've got an issue without getting into too much politics. They've got some refugee problems and things like that.
Well, because Europe is all cramped together.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so, you walk by any of the crowded areas, the touristy areas, like over bridges and stuff, you have to walk out into the road, a lane into the road, because there's too many people crowded on the bridge.
You go to the Tower of London, you do all that?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I went to Parliament.
I just thought about
the Elizabeth Tower was under construction, which was kind of crappy. You go all the way out there. I didn't realize Big Ben, the clock, you can't see it because of all the scaffolding.
Well, you got me laughing. I was just thinking about vacation. Look, kids, Big Ben.
Yeah. Right.
He's going in the roundabout over and over. He doesn't know how to get off.
Yeah.
There it is again.
No, so we're walking down. They got street games going on the bridge, like little bazaar games going on.
Right.
3-card Monty and where's the ball under the cups and stuff. And people are wagering like on the street.
Oh,
in
gambling
London.
over there is well thought of.
Right, but the problem is it creates such a crowd that you're having to walk in front of buses on the road just to get over a damn bridge.
Yeah.
And that's one example of about 10 I could bring up where they've got overcrowding left and right. Doesn't matter what part of the city you're in.
All of this adds up to, it's not surprising to hear that organizers are expected to announce on Wednesday that the event has now been officially canceled. Not postponed, just canceled straight up. They're like, that's it. We're not playing it this year. Not going to happen. And that obviously affects certain legendary players. It affects the all-time greats who are trying to get one more, and you could be talking about Serena Williams. She's on the back end here. She's had a couple of chances lately to get that elusive last, major win, and she's lost in the finals, I think, in the U.S. Open and at Wimbledon. She's been right there, but she's gotten smoked when she's gotten to the finals.
Yes.
They haven't even been matches.
It's not been close.
It's like she gets there, and then whoever is number one at that time, the golf is pretty big.
No, they're so unceremonious because the first
been
set you're
weird.
like, all right, they got the better of her, and then it's 2-love in the second set, and she like quits. She's done. You could tell she's just like, well, the hell with this.
Well, I don't think she's quitting, but she's just not good enough. I mean, that's even harsher to accept. Like that's when you're the greatest player to ever live, and all of a sudden you're getting outclassed to a point where nothing you do is going to work. You ain't got nothing for them.
Yeah, but it's that limbo place that Federer lives in right now, which is you're good enough to get to the semis or the finals pretty much whenever you want.
Well, and if you get lucky, if the guy that is guaranteed to knock you off, Djokovic in the case,
right,
of Federer, if he gets knocked out early, okay, you could do it. You could do it. But if he's there, you're not beating him.
But the problem for Serena is it's not one nemesis.
No,
it's just whoever gets there.
Yeah, right now it's who's ever in the finals that she meets.
And it's kind of a random collection. It could be an unseeded player, the 24 seed,
really,
the
right.
2 seed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, both of those players ended up being transcendent and lasting long beyond what was reasonable or what was thought to be reasonable in age in terms of tennis years. It's like you don't see old swimmers. You don't see old tennis players. You don't see, certain sports you could be done by the time you get to your 30s.
Yeah.
And that's the way those sports were. But then these two players in particular have been able to transcend.
I'll give you one quick note about Gatwick, and I didn't realize it existed. All I knew is that Heathrow existed, and I called it Gatwick, probably because of Galway. But we were on the train to leave from London to go to the southeast to get to Brighton, which is where we were actually visiting for a full week. And Gatwick is on the line. It was like stop 3, and it was a nice train. It was like one of the countryside ones, not the Loop, whatever it's called. And I thought, well, this would have been much more convenient. Why didn't we?
Why didn't we fly in here?
We're 2 stops either way. We're either going right. Instead, you're on the train forever in a day. It takes about an hour and a half to get into London from Heathrow.
It does take an hour and a half to get in from
45
Heathrow.
stops.
I was on a giant bus, and I was like, boy, they put the airport out here, didn't they? I mean, we got about 45 minutes in. I was like, what in the hell? Where is the city? It's like going to Denver.
You know what it reminded me? Oh, well, Denver, yes.
Good Lord. They found the most outlying area possible to build that airport in Denver. It's ridiculous.
It looks like the spacious scenery of Breaking Bad, like where they go for the secret meetings.
Yeah, in New Mexico. It's like, yes, It's very bizarre. When Denver, that wasn't always the airport in Denver, but that is now. And when you get there, you're kind of like, well, this is like an old mining town. There's nothing here. There's nobody here. You could kill somebody and drop them off out here. Nobody would ever find them. It's like devoid of human beings.
The Heathrow to London train ride, though, reminded me so much of the ride up to BC from Boston because of all the stops and the agony that you went through.
I don't want to talk about that. I have been I'm PTSD from riding that train, having to pee. I don't remember, and we tell this story a lot. But I don't know. Maybe I blocked some things out. How many stops was it that they announced? 48?
No, something.
It was absurd. Was it 78? It was something absurd.
No, it was over 40. Yeah.
I think it was 48.
The person said it, we're like, yeah, I know. It feels like forever, right? She's like, no, literally, that's how many.
Well, and there's a lot of them in a row, so you knock a few out in a row. But I couldn't believe, as somebody who kind of had to pee and thought, well, we'll be all right. And they announced that we're 48 stops away. I thought, well, there's not 48 places to stop between here and the stadium. That's absurd.
One of the underrated best parts of that trip, and there were so many good parts to it, but was after the game is over, we get on the train, right? And we just get off at a random stop.
We got off at a random stop.
And then we just start walking around looking for a pub. And it wasn't because of it was just we thought we need to go somewhere. We've been too cooped up. This is ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. They don't let you, for those that have never gone up to see Florida State play Boston College, they don't let you tailgate there, really. I mean, they even have signs that say no tailgating. And the spots where I think you can tailgate, I don't know that I've ever run across them, but apparently they exist. But it has to stop by like 3, even if the game's at 7.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And what happens is, you end up in a neighborhood. It's an affluent neighborhood. If you walk around there, it's beautiful, of course. And a lot of people, my brother, who lives in New Hampshire, calls Newton Snooton, which is Chestnut Hill right there. So he's like, yeah, it's unreal. But it's professors and, well-to-dos that have lived there for a very long time.
Well-to-dos who don't like ne'er-do-wells.
And they don't want anybody in that neighborhood. But you literally walk through their neighborhood. I mean, it must piss them off. You walk through their neighborhood to get to the stadium if you come a certain way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just feel like, well, this isn't going to get it done. Come on, we've got, let's talk about the game. Let's have a beer and
so
talk
we
about
got
what
off
we
the
just
train
saw.
and we decided to walk a few blocks in a general direction. And
Trying to
lo
find
and
a pub.
behold, we found a place that had about 2 rounds left in it before they were shutting down.
Before they were shutting down, that's right. That pissed me off.
But they were shutting down so soon?
Well, what are we doing here, man?
Yeah.
What kind of place is this? Let's go. What are we doing?
Well, but by the time we got there, it was,
probably pretty late, yeah.
Midnight? 12:30?
The Guardian writes, as we weave the two stories together, it is completely unrealistic to imagine that with the travel restrictions that we currently have, an international tennis tournament where hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world would travel to, well, it's unthinkable, quote, unquote. Yeah, so the decision will come in the wake of backlash against the French Open, which pushed the start of the tournament back from May 18th to September 20th. That was much to the chagrin of tennis officials and players. The French Tennis Association was criticized for making a decision without consulting the players or the ATP or the WTA. Defending French Open champion Rafael Nadal actually threatened to boycott the event altogether. So, here's where we're at. I mean, frustration, events of great magnitude, world events being either canceled or postponed. The Olympics obviously officially postponed until 2021.
The Underground. Duh, that's what it's called. The Underground, you dolt. That is the most efficient subway system I've ever seen.
Mind the gap.
Yeah.
Signs are everywhere.
But if you miss one, it's not like New York where it's like it could be 10 minutes, 15
you'd
minutes.
be sitting there for a while.
90 seconds. There's another one coming every 90 seconds. It's absurdly efficient.
Yeah. It's been so long, but you're right. I remember that now. Yeah, you're not waiting long at all, are you? You're like,
no, it's not like, son of I missed the train.
Damn it, I'm going to be here. It's hot down here.
That one's kind of crowded. I'll wait for the next one. You get the hell out of here.
I don't know if it's just getting older, but I'll tell you something, man. The trains, the subway, whatever you call it, any of the major cities that we've been to, the L in Chicago, whatever it is, I'm not as good as I used to be. I used to not care. I could get on one of those ones in Tokyo and I'd be all right. You see people like,
oh my God, with the cattle prods?
It's unbelievable where people's faces are up against ass cheeks and everything else. I see stuff like that and I'm like, if I got to get somewhere, I could do it. No.
I'm sorry, you're 4'7", pal. Them's the breaks.
But I see things like that and there are videos of this stuff and you go, can I do that? Would I do that? I mean, even in a pinch, if I were forced to do it, could I do it? No, claustrophobia hits me these days, man. I can't. I told you, riding the 7 train out there in New York to Shea, I was pissed. It sucked for a lot of reasons. A, really loud, obnoxious, drunk New Yorkers screaming at people. Not cool while we're trying to go to the game. It was going to the game. It was absurd. And I remember saying, I made a joke. I go, if you leave out the racism, John Rocker wasn't wrong about the 7 train. I said, if you leave that out, he's not wrong. It is just a bunch of drunken freaks. It's uncomfortable. But I hated how crowded it was. I could not move. And then they were all drunk, these Mets fans with their hats on screaming, all right, let's go Mets. And they're bumping into people and drinking I'm like, this is just ridiculous. I hated it.
I've never had that experience on the 7.
It was the worst. And it wasn't the first time I oddly have been to several Mets games at Shea. And, well, I say several. For somebody who lives in Florida and whose team it's not, I've been to four Mets games at Shea. So that's a lot. It's kind of a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot.
Kind of weird, you know? But most of them were all over one particular summer where I had a friend staying in Manhattan for the whole summer for work. And it was great for me. So I'm like, all right, I'm flying up to Manhattan.
Badass.
Yeah, it was great. She worked for Citigroup. It was just, there you go.
Future name of the new park.
Yeah, so it was like, here we go.
So you know what I saw this weekend was I have the DVDs for the 86 World Series.
You sat and watched it?
But then they give you Game 6 of the Astros series. Well, on Saturday, Game 5 of the Astros series was on. Nolan Ryan versus Doc Gooden.
That's correct.
And it was awesome.
Keith Cottrell sent us a text, I think. Did you see it?
Did he?
Yeah, he sent us a text saying that it was on right now. I also saw, I think we were all watching a little baseball this weekend. I was watching, maybe he just sent it to me. I don't know. thought he sent it to, I thought he sent it to both of us. It looks like he just sent it to me. You're right.
No, I stumbled upon it just myself.
He wrote, MLB Network now, Nolan Ryan versus Doc Gooden. Our childhood, go! That was Saturday at 8 p.m.
Well, it was unbelievable to watch that game because, first of all, the way the broadcast is presented is so different. Keith Jackson is not a baseball announcer.
No.
I learned that too.
No,
he talked about the clouds and the sun for the the broadcast. The sun trying to poke out outside the clouds.
Yeah, he likes to try to paint a picture, but he could just do the game.
It's a big pitch.
Yeah.
It's 2-1, man.
Yeah, let's go.
And it's McCarver, so he's not going to help you. It's like, it's a bad analogy I can't use. Somebody leading somebody.
Right.
But that game, watching those two guys with the velocity in the late life, that would still translate to today. Easily, those two, the way they pitch would still, the 3-true outcome era.
Well, Nolan Ryan.
But think about it. That's 30 years. I mean, that's 35 years almost later. And their stuff would still translate just as it did then.
I talked to Doc Gooden at a 7-Eleven one time. I saw him in that same 7-Eleven in St. Petersburg on numerous occasions. It was not far from my house. I've told the story on the air that Doc Gooden ended up buying an entire block on the Pink Streets of Pinellas Point Drive where I essentially grew up. And I would see his house, and I think it was his brother's house, and then his parents' house. He had them all in a row. It was an awesome area. I don't know if it's still there or not, but when we used to go, you could see into his house. He had all the jerseys of the people he had played against. So, like, one of the things you could see through the window was a framed jersey of Jose Canseco signed. It cracked me up. But anyhow, I remember that. Well, anyhow, the reason I bring any of that up to you is this, to make your point. When you ran into him, now he had already had some problems. And he was frequently there when he shouldn't have been there. People would see Doc Gooden. I think he got arrested at that 7-Eleven. Anyhow, that 7-Eleven was the 7-Eleven of my childhood. I would go get Slurpees there all the time on my Mongoose. And my buddy Steven would go. My buddy Chris Sturgeon would go. And you'd see people. I mean, you saw people that were spring training, whatever. You might see ball players. You see Doc Gooden there all the time. And that dude was huge. That's what I was getting at. Like those legs. And he was a thunderous figure.
And so was Ryan. And
yes,
so was Ryan.
Yes.
What was crazy about that, though, you never know these things. It's like history. To the winner goes the spoils. It's not just about in the moment. You get to write the history books.
Right.
And so it might look a little bit more favorable.
Sure.
Well, you don't realize, at least I didn't, that Nolan Ryan outpitched Doc in that game. Doc got out of a lot of jams.
Yeah.
But Nolan Ryan only allowed, I think it was 3 base runners
in
all 9 innings. And one of the base runners was Darryl Strawberry's home run down the line that cleared the fence by about 6 inches.
6 inches.
And it was literally on the orange foul pole line.
Yeah.
Which it goes up the wall before it extends into an actual poloche. I mean, the way he pitched was unbelievable in that game. He deserved to win it.
Oh, well, that's kind of oddly the story of his career. I mean, a lot of things about Nolan Ryan, when you look at him statistically, you think, God, if he hadn't played on so many sorry-ass teams.
Well, and they talked about him as though he's a statesman of the game, and he still had 6-7 years left in his career.
Yeah, it was. It's fun to do that. A lot of people are doing that right now. In fact, I'll carry that over and talk about it. I mean, I watched. I tweeted out this weekend. I saw Mickey Morandini's single off of Shane Reynolds in the '98 Kerry Wood game, 20K. And I hadn't thought about Mickey freaking Morandini since probably that game. I mean, maybe at another Phillies game down the line. But I was sitting there and I'm like, that's Mickey Morandini. I haven't seen old Mickey Morandini in 22 years. There he is. And I looked him up. I wanted to see if he was still alive. I thought maybe Mickey Morandini's dead. Who knows? He's a coach. He's a coach for the Phillies. He's a bench coach. Mickey Morandini.
So, in watching the game, Wally Backman, who you've referenced before.
Yes, I have.
In watching the course of that game, I realized, boy, I'm like transporting in time because Wally Backman was so non-competitive hitting in the 2-hole for his 4 bats or 3 at-bats against Nolan Ryan. I'm like, this guy sucks.
But he didn't suck.
But he didn't. And wait a minute, it's one game.
And that's a good pitcher.
But I'm pissed at him for something I know turns out okay.
Did Tim Tuffle play in that game?
I don't think so.
A lot of people are referencing old Tim Tuffle.
He platooned in for the next one because they had a lefty on the hill. I forget. It wasn't Mike Scott. I forget who was pitching to start Game 6 for the Astros, but it was a lefty.
Good old Tim Tuffle, Wally Backman, Kevin McReynolds. Good club. Good club. Ray Knight looks like he's 57 years old on that team.
He does.
He looks ridiculous.
He's like Gene Hackman. He always looks old. Even
so did his
young.
wife. She looked ancient, too. It's ridiculous. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Right now, you can get family dinners to go with curbside pickup at Gordo's North Side. That's right, all day, every day after 4 p.m. Please pay with a credit card. Bring your own pen to sign the receipt. And they want to thank you, and so do I, for supporting your local restaurants at a time where they need it most. By the way, I'm looking at these meals. Woo. First of all, give them a call, 850-727-5914. And order of the, Tom, you want to help me out here? Because I don't think you want me doing this. Lechon asado.
Yeah. Lechon asado.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Arroz con polo.
Arroz con pollo.
4 Cubans.
4 Cubans.
Pollo a la plancha.
Pollo a la plancha.
There you go. That's like beans and rice, right? With some plantains. Boom.
Plantain. Well, the arroz con pollo is plantains and a chicken salad. Roast pork is the lechon asado.
GordosCubanFood.com. Ta-da!
In 1945, Jack Whitten started a glass company in Tallahassee. Now, over 70 years and 3 generations later, it's still working, doing just as Jack wanted, giving his customers real solutions. Local building contractors know Whitten Glass takes care of Tallahassee business, and it's been the Whitten way for over 70 years. Whitten Glass. Since 1945, 850-222-5781 or WhittenGlass.com.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
You know who thinks all wiper blades are created equal? People who've never been stuck with bad ones. Not you. You know what driving with average wiper blades is really like. Worrying about the rain, squinting through the streak marks, and of course, that tense feeling that comes when you can't see the road. For over 100 years, Trico has manufactured premium wiper blades to give you a clear line of sight in any weather conditions. Because on the road, every moment matters. If you're ready to leave average wiper blades behind, stop by your local Advance Auto Parts and get $10 off a pair of premium Trico Onyx wiper blades.
Hi, I'm Joseph St. Germain of Downs and St. Germain Research. We specialize in providing your organization with the information you need for insights, growth, and success. Whether you're a local business owner or represent statewide or national interests, we are a full-service market research firm delivering strategic recommendations since 1981. For more information, head to dsg-research.com today. That's dsg-research.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature Which, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
It's time to unite, Tallahassee. After years of our great local restaurants serving us, it's our turn to serve them. With this simple purchase of gift cards, we can help them survive the financial toll of COVID-19. Buy them for yourself, your family, or as gifts. No doubt we'll all have a reason to go out and celebrate soon as we safely can. Go to hungertohelp.com and show your support for the heart of our community today. This message brought to you in part by your local Tallahassee radio broadcasters.
Escúchame, it is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Atlanta United forward Joseph Martinez has a torn ACL in his right knee. He did it in their MLS season opening victory versus Nashville, South Carolina.
I'm not sure. No. Nashville SC.
I didn't know if it was South Carolina or Sports Center. I didn't know.
No.
Nashville, South Carolina.
No.
I mean, an odd place to have a team, both places.
Yeah. It's a soccer story. You still didn't get the SC part. No.
Soccer? And finally, Meghan Markle reportedly is trying to
dying sport. That's where you got to go with that. Just dying sport.
It's been dead for a while.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Last week, the baseball site Fangraphs supposed to be rolling out positional power rankings celebrating opening day. Instead, David Appelman, Fangraphs founder and CEO, was cutting his roster to keep the site in business. 10 full-time staffers, including Appelman, had their salaries cut. Appelman laid off more than 20 freelancers. He closed the long-form site, by the way, the Hardball Times, which goes back to 2004. Fangraphs, obviously a go-to site for us statistically inclined baseball fans. Writing, by the way, featured an alumni network that stretches into the front offices of Major League Baseball. Until the ad crunch caused by the coronavirus, it had none of the battle scars of, say, newspapers. Quote, "We've always grown," said Appelman. "This is the first time I've ever had to do a layoff in 15 years. It's an unfamiliar feeling and a pretty blank one," is what he went on to say. In March, Fangraphs traffic usually soars. Readers put together their fantasy drafts without baseball games. Appelman said traffic has fallen 70% from its usual levels. Think weekends in the offseason, he said, or maybe even some like Thanksgiving, but it's every day now. Fangraphs, which is funded by thousands of readers who buy memberships starting at $20 a year, that'd be this guy, one of many, of course. This is mostly a goodwill gesture since the site doesn't put articles behind paywalls. Most reoccurring members have stayed with Fangraphs. But after March the 12th, the day Major League Baseball announced it was delaying the season, the site's new membership signups virtually stopped. Appelman goes on to say, if baseball does start back up in July, things can potentially ramp up. But from a yearly budget standpoint, I have to essentially find hundreds of thousands of dollars that simply aren't there. That's the problem. I mean, they're just not going to be there. Now, here is the, quintessential caveat that we add every time we talk about one of these things, which is that people are suffering from medical loss, financial loss all over the world, and there are more important things than sports. Got it. But there you go. Threw it in there. If you're looking for a sense of stability, which is oftentimes what we've talked about on this show, and one of the reasons that we're both doing it, and it's our own sanity. It's yours. It's all of us trying to help everybody out in the community. Everybody's doing this. It's not some great sacrifice. We're all doing this to try to help out. But it does get to be more and more disconcerting when we look at this from an economic crisis, because you're going to start talking about early signs pointing to sites like this one, like 538, like, in the case of baseball Fangraphs and others, very specific. I was reading something today that said that the Athletic paused some freelance contracts. For those that are into soccer and read the magazine First Touch, or the digital magazine First Touch, now that was shuttered. That used to be in New York bars, in all the New York bars and the papers and the magazines that you get around town. That's all been shut down now. Looking at a lot of different of those kinds of fan sites or things like that are either actually printed or published as well as digitally. These things are all getting shut down right now. The sportsjournalist.com, that site is going dark at this point. Good, man.
You get about 8 weeks of relief if you use the provisions in the past legislation last week, and hopefully that's enough to cover costs, and then revenue can come back in. That's where we are.
Reading further, the coronavirus has cut off even the audition period. When you're entering a permanent off-season for the foreseeable future, things are only going to get tighter, he said. If the ad crunch hits small margin companies and then reaches, say, ESPN or The Athletic, then massive dominoes begin to fall. During national emergency, sports writers first suffer an identity crisis. Now they're suffering an economic crisis. It makes you realize how inessential in the grand scheme of things this kind of work really is, but a lot of people do really good, smart work, and they face uncertainty. It's scary personally, and it's scary for the industry currently. Yeah, and I think just because we talk about sports on a daily basis and it's a shared passion, if you're listening to this, it's because you love sports and you like to be entertained or whatever it might be, and we share that with you, and that is part of the greater concern in the conversation we had, I think it was on Friday, where I talked about the collective psyche societally of where are we going to be if sports begins to crumble. It may be a temporary situation, but I'll tell you what, you take away the mainstays of the Sports Illustrateds of the world, these things you fall back on to read casually and relax and escape, as well as the actual sport itself to be able to view. The fallout, I was talking about this with a friend the other day, and I said, so how soon, once they say it's safe, are you going to personally feel comfortable going into a packed concert arena, a stadium of any kind? Because I understand it's not like football where you blow out your knee and you're afraid to cut on it when you first come back, but the doctors have told you you're cleared, you're okay. There's nothing physically wrong with you, but you got to get past the mental hurdle. I think this has probably done some and will do some emotional damage. I mean, like walking, the idea now, and we're on our toes right now and we're nervous and all that, but the idea of walking into a really crowded, you've been to some concerts where it's shoulder to shoulder.
Sure.
Yeah, you're herded in trying to get to your spot.
Campbell Stadium, man.
Yeah.
Tight. I mean, the bleachers, there aren't exactly armrests on those bleachers.
That's correct. So
if they gave us an all clear, I'd do it the next hour. I'd be out of the house for weeks.
Yeah, I think you would and I would and we all would, because right now we're going a little stir crazy. Now elevate that by another month, which is what it looks like bare minimum. But what I'm saying is you'd do it, but it would be on your mind. You'd be nervous about it.
Yeah, people are going to shake hands less often for the first
I'm
few
all
months.
right with that.
But the thing is, to me, I can't ever envision a scenario in which there's like some grand declaration. You cut to Washington, D.C., and Fauci comes up to the podium and says, we're good. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen until such time as there's a vaccine, because our country's so damn big that different parts of it are going to be affected in different ways over the next, handful of months. So I don't think there's just going to be this one binary zeros and ones, end to the story, which is you're good to go, unless it's go to your nearest health provider. We've got the serum. You're good to go. You just get a shot in your arm and go have a party. We're going to have a national week holiday where everybody is forced to spend money on, local restaurants and bars and stuff.
Well, that would be great, and it's my chief concern. I have thought about the people that advertise with us, of course, because many of them go on to become friends. You get to know them over the years that you work together, your partners. The truth about advertising is this: in our profession, or really any profession, if you're convincing somebody to spend their hard-earned money with you to advertise their product, they have to see a return. And the part that works, and we really believe in radio or we wouldn't do it, and certainly we know the impact of this show over the years from an advertising standpoint. But I need them to succeed. I want them to do well. It's the only way we can forge a long-term relationship. It's symbiotic, where we both succeed. We both do well. And when you both do well, you tend to want to spend more time together, and you learn more about each other because you're trying to further enhance that, both socially but also economically. And so, yeah, that's where we're all at right now. I mean, these restaurants and these small and locally owned businesses, that's my greatest fear right now. And so, yes, you certainly you long for a time where that all clear is going to happen and we can all go out and spend our money at these restaurants like you were talking about. How you're not going to want to go inside again for 5 weeks. Yeah. You're like, you mind if I sleep? Eddie, can I sleep behind the bar tonight?
Well, the problem, the other problem is with what money can you spend? Can you go out and do these things? That's the other part of the equation is we all long for the day. But how many of us are comfortable enough at that point when we feel comfortable to go that our bank account says we can? Or are we willing to just go into some credit card debt because, damn it, I need another?
Well, yeah. It's weird I don't like being in limbo. Nobody does. I think it's the hardest part. I think that's the hardest part, just the not knowing. If you tell me.
Yeah.
Hey,
I know where you're going.
Yeah. If you tell me May 17th.
Mm-hmm.
On May 17th, this BS is beyond us.
You got a countdown calendar in your house. You rip off a piece every day, and you say,
I can
here
go
we
home,
go.
lock the door, batten down the hatches, and say, all right, may suck. Tomorrow's going to suck too, kids. And the day after is going to suck. But you know what's not going to suck? May 17th. And let's go. Let's buckle up and get to May 17th. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd probably talk to all the parents, at school or in the neighborhood or whatever and say, all right, we're drawing out of a hat, short straw. Kids are staying at your house on May 17th.
Oh, I don't know that anybody's willing to take that
you have a
responsibility.
Zoom meeting for a lottery, and you find out, all right, who has the sleeping bag set up on May 17th?
Oh, I'd love it, though. You would. You just, open up the house, be like, hey, this is a block party. Everybody come on by. We'll house them tonight, but everybody, let's have fun. Yard this thing.
Listen, if this has done nothing else, it's increased probably a 1970s tradition, which is driveway beers and parking lot beers.
I thought you were going to say cocaine.
No.
Well, that would have been
more
the
the 80s?
That was more the 80s. That was definitely the 80s. You're right. 70s were uppers and downers. Quaaludes.
Quaaludes.
Ludes, man.
Driveway beers and parking lot beers.
That's true.
There has been a drastic increase of these
I've had a
two
lot
things.
of driveway beers. I was reading a book yesterday afternoon, and a friend of ours from Cornerstone Tool and Fastener drove past, and I was reading my book, and I had a beer in my right hand, and he was like, all right. And we waved and smiled and said, okay, and that was the end of it. Yeah.
The backyard is now a place, once again, if you have one. If you're lucky enough to have one.
I spent some time in the backyard yesterday. I have done, I tell you what, shrubbery is frightened. I have found every crevice anywhere that needed a good weed whacking and went to war. I'm like, oh, I see you in that corner. I haven't been to this part of the yard in a year. It's behind the shed.
And checking in with my my family all across the country, my one aunt and uncle, they're in Orange County, New York, upstate. And their trash service said, please stop, folks.
Yeah.
There's an ordinance that says, we understand you're all doing spring cleaning and you've got gobs of stuff because you're not just doing spring cleaning for this year. You're basically renovating
for the last
your house.
5 years, yeah.
We need you to space out what you put on the corner because we don't have space for all your crap.
Well, and that has happened. We went through the garage. My wife and I were going through the garage, primarily her. And I was doing other things while she did the garage.
Right. MLB The Show.
No. She's very particular about, if I'm doing something, I'm doing something. You get away from me. You go do your thing. You whatever it is.
Similar. Yes.
Oh, well, let's carry this onward then, because
All right.
I actually think it's a fair topic for now where we're all cooped up together. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's time to unite, Tallahassee. After years of our great local restaurants serving us, it's our turn to serve them. With this simple purchase of gift cards, we can help them survive the financial toll of COVID-19. Buy them for yourself, your family, or as gifts. No doubt we'll all have a reason to go out and celebrate soon as we safely can. Go to hungertohelp.com and show your support for the heart of our community today. This message brought to you in part by your local Tallahassee radio broadcasters.
I really need a new refrigerator, and I want to get the best deal. But there are so many options, I don't know which one to choose. I wish there was a way to make this simpler.
With so many choices, a major appliance purchase like this can be overwhelming. The City of Tallahassee helps make the choice simple by offering rebates on Energy Star appliances. You can receive up to $300 in rebates on refrigerators, clothes washers, and more. Are you thinking about purchasing and installing a smart thermostat to help minimize your home energy costs? With the city's rebates, you can get up to $100 off eligible options. Stack your savings this holiday season by coupling in-store deals with rebates from the City of Tallahassee. Visit talgov.com/YOU. That's talgov.com/YOU. Or call 850-891-4968 to learn more. That's 850-891-4968.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature Which, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Lane's Medical Shop has all of your home medical needs. They carry home oxygen, hospital beds, nebulizers, walkers, wheelchairs, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and all sleep apnea supplies. Lane's also has a weight loss clinic in-house, no appointment necessary, including B12 injections and any prescriptions necessary with the lowest prices around, and delivers to Tallahassee and South Georgia. Located only 40 miles from Tallahassee, go see Blake today, 210 West Main Street, Colquitt, Georgia, 229-758-9111.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all-day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Seminole Headlines Podcast Edition is presented to you by the Morgan Law Group, representing the policyholder, going after the insurance companies. Offices, Miami, Orlando, Naples, and Panama City. Online at policyadvocate.com.
Hello, I'm Brian Cerny, host of Tallahassee Talks Radio.
And I'm Coach Sue Semrau.
The food assistance charities in Tallahassee need our help, and the businesses sponsoring the Tallahassee Food Challenge want to remind each of us to take the challenge by making an additional contribution and donating food.
Join us in giving generously during this critical time of need. You'll be helping feed hungry children and families across our community. Take the challenge, fill a bowl.
Feed the hungry. Go to TallahasseeFoodChallenge.com.
O'Reilly. You won't want to miss the sale going on now through July 7th at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. Get a $10 car wash kit, red, white, and blue themed accessories, a $6 oil change kit, chemicals, towing supplies, and more. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Journey has fired their bassist and drummer over an alleged coup d'etat.
What?
A coup.
No, what we can't believe is that you pronounced that correctly. What is happening right now, you guys were writing something into the script that you knew he was going to butcher, and he hit you with coup d'etat, read correctly, and you guys are stunned back there.
What were you guys thinking? Coup d'etat?
Yeah, I thought you would be frozen in fear at what you were looking at.
That's a big upset. Guillermo, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is Stugat correctly pronouncing coup d'etat the single biggest upset in the history of sports?
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios, this is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
interrupting all programs. This is Radio Crash on Pirate Satellite.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I hope you're well. I hope you're okay. I hope you're safe. I hope you're feeling all right. I hope your loved ones are doing great. That everybody's getting along swimmingly. I know that's not the case for everybody, though, so hang in there. Hang in there. Thinking about you. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you get to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do go back, get caught up, we'll post all 3 hours of the program on iTunes, where you can go and rate and review, share, subscribe. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. I think it's just audio today on the YouTube channel. What you'll get is you'll get the show, because I know a lot of you use YouTube to skirt whatever work regulations you have, or it's just easier for you. It's more convenient. So we want to continue to use it and maybe even grow it a little bit. I'll be one who pushes that. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. But you'll get audio, so you'll be able to hear the show that way if that's what you want to do. You can email us if you like, jcs@979espnradio.com. You were saying before the break, and we were just disregarding certain format sort of traditions, if you will.
It's the Wild West, baby.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like I can introduce some big news that that there's a game coming up, because there's not, or even stuff in recruiting right now is kind of like, take it for what it is. You don't really believe anything right now.
Kids are sitting at home too.
Yeah,
I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, it's weird.
I want to get as far away as possible. I don't want to be here.
I want to get back to what we were talking about when you start on projects, because we're all doing them now. I mean, it could be anything from, hey, I'm going to start a journal. I mean, many years from now, people are going to relate back to this pandemic in the same way that they do certain other significant events, and I want to have my say. Could be something like that. Could be extensive spring cleaning that Tom and I were just talking about. But, yeah, husband and wife, domestic partnership, whatever it might be, handle things differently. And I was saying that my wife kind of picks something and then says, get away from me. Like, I will ask to help. But she was doing stuff in the garage, and I said, you need help? She said, no, I got a plan. I got a plan for out here. Mm-hmm. I'm doing some things here. I wanted to make it easier for the kids to put their bikes over here, and then to be able to get to we have a freezer out in the garage, be able to get to that freezer a little bit easier. I want to move this over. We never use this. I'm going to get rid of this, whatever it might be. And I was seeing if I could be of some aid. The answer was a resounding no, just get away from me. And you went, yes. You're the same way. Once you've decided on a path or a project or both, that's it.
Or I'm set to the side. That's where I set to the side. Oh, yes, absolutely. So on Saturday,
you were set to the side.
I was set to the side. Unilaterally, there was cleaning going on upstairs, unbeknownst to me. I thought it was just Jamie will either play or her own. She's got a Nintendo Switch, so she's got a game she likes to play to kill time. Animal Crossing. It's like all the rage with the kids.
Right? Yeah, kids love it.
Or she'll be streaming something or hanging out with the cats upstairs. I don't know. Whatever she's doing, that's fine. I'm watching my show. I'm locked in. Unilaterally, the choice was made to do heavy cleaning upstairs. And I go, I find out that this happens.
Okay.
And I say, what in the hell? Now I'm worried. Am I the enemy because I didn't come up and check? Or are we okay? Like, you decided to do this yourself.
What's the rule?
Well, and she's good with it. She's good with doing that stuff because it gives her an outlet. It gives her something to focus on and to do, not to stare at a wall because,
Sure.
You just think about what situation we're all in if you stare at the wall and do nothing. So I have to tiptoe, though, when I make the conversation. I say, hey, am I the bad guy? Are you mad at me for not, chipping in here? Or because if you wanted to do this, we could have had a discussion that said, from this time to this time,
you'll do this.
We're going to
I'll
attack
do
the
this.
upstairs.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And she said, I'm mad, but I know that's an irrational part of me because I could have just come downstairs and said, here's what we're doing. So that was good. When I first heard I started cleaning, I thought, oh, God, how long have you been at it? I look at the bathroom upstairs. I think, oh, it's been a while. This is a problem. I mean, it's spotless. Jesus. Okay.
No, it's okay, though.
So it's like the credit market's being built up against me.
Yeah.
So today, when I go home, there's a pile of dishes that need to get done.
But you like that.
I do.
Yeah.
But I better do it, though.
Oh,
because if it gets in tomorrow, then I am really the bad guy.
Yeah, but you really should do it, Tom. You should get right after it. There's no reason not to. Crack you a beer and get to the dishes. It's a good time. Get in your head. Maybe listen to some music.
Oh, I've been discovering all sorts of music over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I've made playlists. I've done it all. I've got a lot going on these days with the playlists.
But the fun part of figuring out is, all right, so when is I don't need your help, you should pitch in and do something? Or when is it truly move away from me? Because I'd prefer to be in my own world right now.
I think bathroom is one of those areas of the house that only one person can occupy at a time. When it involves cleaning, for sure. I mean, there's only rare occurrences where both of you are going to be in the bathroom at the same time, okay? So, for the most part, that's a one-man operation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but the master bedroom was also vastly improved by the time I saw it. I mean, this was a multi-hour project.
What were you doing while all this was going on? Were you at work? If you were at work, that's not your fault.
No.
Were you downstairs playing Halo? What were you doing?
I was watching television.
Did you not hear the commotion upstairs?
There really was there really isn't much. We've got good floors and ceilings. You'd have to go check and see what's going on.
Well,
I thought it was alone time. Everybody has their own get away from me time. And I thought that's what it was, and I think in fact that is true. But still, when you see a lot of productivity has taken place,
it can be.
There's an automatic. I mean, I was raised Catholic. I feel that guilt immediately. Now I've gotten really good at saying the hell with you.
Yeah.
But still, we're a team, so you get worried about these things.
That's a little bit like the forgiveness thing where you ask for forgiveness rather than permission. If my wife is going to be productive and do something that cleans the house or that aids us in finding whatever it is we're looking for, or things are going to get better because she's endeavoring to do so, I don't get in the way. If she wants to yell at me hours after the fact while the thing is done that was being done, then I'm all right with that. I'm okay with that. Conversely, I also don't bitch if I start down the path because I've got an itch to clean something or do something that – because we all get that too. Like, you know what? I've just decided. There's no reason that this laundry basket isn't empty, and I'm going to start this load, and I've got a load in the dryer, and I'm going to hang that one up while I start this one, and then I'm going to go in and get my kit. Well, for me, because, and you were a kid once, you know how your room was. When I go into Bryce or Clark's room and they haven't brought their dirty clothes out from the hamper in a week, I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I'll grab it and walk down the hall. And I've decided it's my day. I've pulled out the laundry table. I've set it down. I've set up shop. I got my my Bluetooth speaker that I've put off to the side. Boom, I'm going. Here we go. I'm folding. I'm drying. I'm washing. Bap, bap, bap. It's all hours of the day. Nobody mess with me. Hey, listen, you know what? You can bitch if you want to. I'm in your way. But at the end of the day, when you go into your drawers, everything's folded nicely. It's cleaned. It's been put away. You've got underwear for days. You've got socks for days. Your shirts are all put away. The nice dress clothes, they're in the closet. You're good to go. Everybody silence yourselves. I don't want to hear it. Go about your day. Leave me alone. Leave me be. I have started on a project. Nothing wrong with that. And I don't expect any help. I don't need anybody to come to my rescue.
That's the important thing.
I don't
the
expect the help.
expectation needs to be logical. If you're doing this on your own, then it's got to be on your own. But the problem was, here's where it hit me. I walk into the bathroom, and it's a good-sized bathroom. I don't know why it's so big. I wish we had more space for other stuff. But we got the his and hers sinks, and the his is immaculate. And I went, ugh.
Oh, she did your sink?
Mm-hmm. Yep. What do you do with that?
Say thank you.
Yeah. That's the easiest thing to do.
That's all you can do is just say thank you. There's not a lot else you can do. I think like every male, I have chores that I enjoy doing and then chores that I'm asked to do that I don't like. I try to jump on the ones that I actually kind of like doing. I've told you before, I like to vacuum. I like to mow the lawn. I don't mind doing certain other chores. If I get started on those, then you can't ask me to do the ones I don't want to do because I've already started to do this one over here.
The most annoying thing that I know everybody else thinks is annoying that I love to do, we have a coffee table and it's got 4 loose, I didn't buy this thing. I wouldn't have bought it. But it's got 4 glass panes that are separately laid in on top of it. It's like it's got like a...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that's really inconvenient and tough to clean. But for whatever reason, I enjoy the hell out of grabbing the Windex and taking out each of the panes, laying them carefully where they should be, and cleaning the hell out of the panes, and then cleaning all the gunk that was underneath the glass panes because of all the crumbs and food and stuff and dust. That is probably a 25-minute process. I let it take 40, and I enjoy the hell out of it.
You don't mind, right?
No, I love it. And I piece that together with the dishes on a Saturday morning. I love away game Saturdays for this reason. There's no pregame show.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can have game day or the noon kick. Usually the noon kick. I like having 2 TVs going, and I will go to war during the first half. That is my time. That's when I like to go get stuff spick and span. There's 2 football games on TV. I put the TVs in different areas, so no matter where I am in the room, I see it. That's some good stuff.
I believe that all of us enjoy, as we get older, away games an awful lot.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's true. Now, we bring it back to sports for a second. I think it's interesting. The older I've gotten, the more I've appreciated the team being on the road, partly because we have work responsibilities, partly because, again, if you're going to the game, there's a lot being taken from you in the course of a day. Now, you're rewarded because going to football games is still fun, especially if it's a big game. But if it's a weak opponent, if you're playing somebody that you're going to beat no matter what. Now, lately we haven't been able to say that. Virtually anybody that's come to town has a good chance to beat us, so it's always a
It's
big
the other
moment.
way around. So if you're going to get blown out, give me somebody we can beat. Yeah.
So, like, when you're hosting Louisiana Monroe, you'd like to believe it's going to be a whitewash and that maybe you could watch the second half at home while you do some other things. But that hasn't been the case. But as I've gotten older, there is a real calming effect to road game weekends, especially when the weather gets cool. You've opened up the windows some.
Mm-hmm.
You got that noon Big Ten game coming on. Oh, buddy, here's a little Purdue, Illinois to start the day. Okay, I hear you, Pam. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Give us the call.
It's the opening up of the windows, too, because it doesn't get the room too hot.
No, it's perfect.
So there's more sunlight because it doesn't devastate your air conditioning system.
It's beautiful. And then you do a little clean in. Perhaps you're thinking about, maybe I'll get the margarita maker out today and put that over there. It could just be there. It's like maybe I'll make a batch. If you want one, you can have one. If not, don't worry about it. Or I'll reward myself as I'm watching this useless Big Ten game, and I'll clean something and I'll have a margarita because I got to maintain because we don't kick off until 3:30 or 7 o'clock or whatever
6
it is.
o'clock on ESPN News.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's where we are these days.
That is where we are these days. But whatever it might be, you're like, okay, I got that. I'll do that. Yeah, and that there's a peacefulness that comes over one when you get to watch other teams play and you don't have to worry about your game for several hours, and that's when good cleaning can take place.
Mm-hmm. Right. You see something ridiculous happen, like a terrible ruling, and you say, oh, sucks for them, as you wash another
Terrible
dish.
call.
And you know
Well,
that somewhere in America, that fan base is up in arms.
Rightfully
Twitter's
so.
going nuts.
Rightfully so.
And I hear you, man, but it's not as important as making sure this pint glass gets wiped down.
What are they going to do about hockey?
I don't know. You know, I see alternate plans being pitched for both the NBA and the NHL that says they'll finish this season in the fall and then they'll jumpstart the new season around New Year's and figure it out after that.
19 days we've gone without hockey.
Yep.
We've talked about a lot of things that we've gone without from the sports world today. Mentioned, unfortunately, Wimbledon situation, the next big one to fall. When you consider non-Big Three sports, baseball, football, basketball, you do go immediately to things like Wimbledon, things like the Masters, which has been canceled, and things like hockey, the NHL playoffs that were going to be. And we've now gone 19 days. The NHL pressing pause back on March the 12th. The league has held conference calls among the governors and among the general managers. The Players Association has had frequent discussions with players. NHL Players Association Executive Director. You know, that's Donald Fear.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do.
That SOB is still around.
That's why the labor piece has been difficult. He was starting with that early 2000s. So when we missed the season, Donald Fear was at the head of that.
Donald Fear told The Athletic yesterday that he's been on the phone for 10 to 12 hours a day every day. Okay, you tell me if that's even possible. What could you talk about for 12 hours a day every day since March the 12th? I'm calling BS. He's a liar. He has not been on the phone for 10 to 12 hours every single day since March the 12th. Nonsense. No chance. Zero chance that's happened. None. Unless he's just talking about the color of the sky and which Pink Floyd album he likes most. There's no way he's talking the business of hockey.
Hey, man, billable hours. He's making sure that he's got plausible information here. You know?
That's nuts. So, I mean, there's no way. I would have. They should have. The Athletic, whoever did the interview, should have gone. But now, listen, Donald, you can shovel this for a living, and you do. Don't try to tell me you've been on the phone for 12 hours a day every day. That is nonsense. I don't know who you're trying to convince out there, but that is ridiculous. Nobody's doing that. Nobody is doing that.
If the league didn't have a commissioner and it was 30 separate entities, then perhaps.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
But it's a league.
Why is Donald Fear on the phone with? Do you think, if that's true, do you think Donald Fear is like just calling people so he can bill the hour? And like, I just talked to Donald yesterday for 2 hours. What is he calling me for? Yes, Don. What? This is Keith. What do you want?
How's your family?
Oh, Jesus. Click. With coronavirus cases increasing daily in the United States, there is no timetable for when precautions like physical distancing can be lifted. 4 NHL players are known to have tested positive for COVID-19, 2 on the Senators and 2 on the Avalanche, and that it's not safe yet to bring teams back together. The league pushed the players to self-quarantine, a term the NHL uses, though the players appear to be following something closer to physical distancing guidelines than a strict quarantine. But the date will change again. They asked them to do it till April the 4th. Now they've come out and said that they feel like that's a meaningless date.
Mm-hmm.
As we get closer to this date, we're going to make it. We're going to have to make decisions to what to do from there and bite off big chunks of the season. What the NHL has done is officially postpone its June events, the Prospect Combine, the Draft, and the award show. That's all been postponed. So,
hey, everybody, let's go to Vegas for the NHL awards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they were talking about that. Let's say they have a date. The problem they have now in a sport like hockey is that you have got to give guys ready to give time to get ready to. It's such a full contact sport. You got to give time to get back in shape.
Arenas around the country are going to have to deal with what Tampa's done for so long, which is 90 degrees and humid outside. You got to make sure that your ice cooling system is good to go for the playoffs. It's only the most important event of the year. Can't have people slipping and sliding.
I don't think it's going to happen.
My guess is they would pick it back up in like September, close the season out, and then try a relaunch around Thanksgiving or December for the new league year and make it like a 60 or 65 game schedule. So you cut off the regular season now, maybe give them a week. I don't know. Maybe a play-in for 8, 9, 10 in each conference, but you got to figure out a way if there's like a tiebreaker that has somebody in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
You got to settle that on the ice a little bit. But for the other teams, you're done.
You're done. Sorry,
if you're clinched. Well, and if you made it, like the Lightning. See, I'm always thinking about us. You're in. You're good to go. We're going to start the playoffs in 10 days' time.
Sure.
And get your camps together. The one thing I'd say about it too, these guys are in such good shape, and they will continue to be because you could do a lot of cardio stuff away. It doesn't have to be all equipment and training and strength training like for an NFL linebacker. Let's say it's a much different type of sport. They would be so tired going into the postseason. I mean, we were just talking about it before the world got turned on upside down. They're playing 36 games in 20 days. 20 games in 36 days?
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing a ridiculous amount of hockey, and it was all compressed. And then they were going to have to go through the 2-month grueling war that is the Stanley Cup playoffs for a team that was going to compete for the championship. They're going to be so much fresher for it. The hockey will probably be better by round 2 of the playoffs.
I didn't think that I would truly be devastated, or devastated is not the right word. Devastated is not seeing baseball right now. Not seeing Florida State baseball, not seeing Major League Baseball, not going home to a series. That's devastating to me. I really, really care deeply about seeing baseball. But I really am feeling the effects of not, and perhaps never knowing, who was going to win the NBA title. And what I mean by that is we really were set up for an amazing postseason. LeBron was playing perhaps the best he's played in 7 years. He has been a dominant figure, and he's playing extended minutes. Like, he was going for it. And I think that stems from the idea that he understands to cement himself as an all-time great Laker, you got to win a title. So, because all the great ones have. So he wants to win a title so he can say he's truly a Laker. He wants to win multiple titles,
remember,
right?
There was also the Kobe angle.
There was
going to be for Kobe.
Yeah, there's the Kobe angle too. But the Clippers were the adversary. Let's not forget the Lakers were 49-14 at the time that the stop 49-14 at the time the stoppage happened, and the Clippers are 44-20, and they're doing all that with load management and everything else. So there they are right now. Listen, I like Denver and Utah; they're nice teams, but those were the class of the West. We know which two teams were going to be the ones. And in the East, Milwaukee's been great, but Toronto is only 6 games back and coming on. That was a weird part about this season. Boston's unique at 43-21. The Heat were having a great year at 41-24. They were a matchup problem for people in the postseason. They've been a real matchup problem for the Bucks, whom they swept up to this point. So you had a lot of interesting things going on, and we're not going to get to see it. I mean, I get it. I'm just lamenting the same sorts of things that everybody's lamenting right now.
They're going to award an NBA title this year. I think that's another league that will finish this season later in the calendar year if they have to, and reboot the next one and have a shortened regular season campaign. I think there's going to be resolution in the way of championships for both the NBA and the NHL.
What about Major League Baseball? I mean, you could do it with Major League Baseball. You can use dome stadiums. I mean, there's no reason. Even if you start the season in July.
Yeah, you just play an abridged schedule. I mean, now
you play 100 games.
I know there's a lot of logistical issues that go with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's that simple.
By the way, has that not piqued your interest? Like, if you're reading these stories right now, say you're like me and you're like, what are they going to do with baseball? What are they going to do? And yes, we're all operating under the assumption that at some point we're going to get a handle on this thing. It's going to pass through, and we're going to have an opportunity to resume our lives in a somewhat ordinary fashion. Knock on wood. Let's hope that happens. I'm obviously not ignoring those that are in a desperate plight right now, and whether that's from a health standpoint or an economic standpoint. But assuming we, at some point, get back to normal operating procedures on a daily basis where everybody goes to work and goes to school and does what they do and these leagues come back, Major League Baseball has got a cool thing going that harkens you back to the 20s and 30s where they're talking about playing upwards of 7 doubleheaders a week. Not the same teams. But where you just, everywhere you look, you got a day-night doubleheader or a back-to-back old-school doubleheader. Are you old enough to remember that? To remember where that was a real thing, where it happened, you waited 20 minutes between games and they started up the next one?
Yeah, barely.
It was a thing in my youth, as was day playoff baseball. Like, you come home and watch day playoff baseball.
Yeah, especially in the championship series.
It was awesome. That happened all the time. You come home 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we got a playoff game on. It was incredible. But, yeah, they used to do this a lot. Last week we were talking about WGN, WOR, whatever it might have been. I used to love those days where I'd come, but they started a doubleheader at noon or at 1, and there's going to be another one following right up.
Yeah, I can remember it on WOR, but then once the Mets were off of that, and I had to catch them on TBS or
it changed.
Sun Sports, Sunshine Network. I mean, it did change definitely.
No, they went away from it a long time ago. At best, you could get a day-night doubleheader any more of these days. But the plans for trying to get as many games as because baseball's a weird sport. You can't really play a 50-game season. You can't do that. To me, you're gonna have to play 100 games or just
80 would do. Well, especially if you pare down the schedules and you play within your own region. Again, I think you might have to change this thing from 3 divisions in each league to 2, because if you have 5 teams in a division, then you can't play each other equally and have the same outside of your division schedule. Like, you can't have a same strength of schedule, I should say, a balanced schedule. It would be very difficult to pull off in the amount of games that they're trying to play. Also, the country's huge. This is a huge country. What if the West Coast is having an easier time than the East Coast at that point? Or the Heartland, which has been lagging behind. So how about the 2 Central divisions? What if in that part of the country you've got issues in July that don't exist on either coast? You're going to fly those teams from the Central divisions out to either coast and have them play out there?
You could, but I don't think they'll start playing baseball so long as there's a remnant of this anywhere. So, in this country.
You heard what Windhorse was talking about over the weekend, right? So Chinese basketball obviously has a lot more say over what players will do and how they will do it.
Correct.
There's not essentially a players' association that can say BS. Well, they're tinkering with the idea of putting teams in basically 2 cities and creating a bubble around the teams, like we were talking about for golf or different sports.
I knew this was coming. Yeah.
That the NBA at least should consider that. And the fact that he's going out there and campaigning for it in a way, I find that interesting. That he was willing to say it on SportsCenter. It's a 2-minute clip that's on ESPN.com. But that the NBA could create a couple of cities that they decide these are the ones we're going to pick, and they Olympic Village it. They say, here you go. And we're going to play the games around these times, these dates, and essentially you have a bubble around you. I don't know how that jives with American rights, but, if the games must go on, if the show must go on.
Well, I mean, look, if you're getting paid $1 million in a week,
Right.
You're going to put.
Well-
you're going to choose. You're going to elect to agree to that.
Well, the conversation gets real because apparently the April checks for the players will clear at 100%, but now there's going to be cutbacks because the games aren't being played. It might be deferred or it might be straight cut out because they're not playing all 82.
Yeah.
But the problem for each league is that they have to have separate negotiations with their players' unions. Baseball's already been on it.
Yeah.
Baseball has been on it for weeks. NBA, there's been no talks as of Saturday. So you've got to go through the money part of it too before you can greenlight this process.
Oh. I mean, I'm for seeing games and watching the competition play out in whatever alternative means possible. I suppose, as opposed to not seeing it. But it is, and today has been one long depressing show. I apologize. There has not been a silver lining in today's show.
Gotta talk through it.
But it is talking through it. And while I say that it's all right that we have to perhaps consume our sports in a weird manner, something that is completely foreign to what we've grown up doing, which is to be together, to see and interact with the games themselves. Maybe we have to do something different this time, but it will serve as a reminder, I think, how depressing all of this is. If they start a league in which these teams are quarantined in two cities and they're playing in front of nobody, every time you watch that, you're going to be depressed to some degree.
Yes, but the good will outweigh the bad.
Yeah, I mean,
100%. People are looking for anything.
Well, they are. There's no doubt. Yeah, we need the escape right now. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
One moment without a clear windshield can feel like a lifetime. For over 100 years, Trico wiper blades have been engineered to give you a clear line of sight in any weather condition. Trico, seeing you through. Stop by your local Advance Auto Parts and get $10 off a pair of premium Trico Onyx wiper blades.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Planning on expanding or renovating your home or business? Did you know that these construction projects start with preliminary work such as professional sets of drawings and proper engineering? Before you apply for financing or sign a lease agreement, allow our team of contractors, architects, and engineers to assist you with planning and budgeting. Hello, I'm Travis, owner of T-Spark Enterprises, and I am here because we want your project to launch on the right foot. Call us today and we will take care of your construction needs. We aim to provide work that will exceed your expectations, guaranteeing picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336. Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
With a Bojangles 3-piece Chicken Supreme snack, you get a plate of bold, boneless chicken and a hot, fluffy, made-from-scratch biscuit for just $3.99. Or, if you'd rather 2 pieces of bone-in fried chicken with a biscuit and a fixin', don't you worry, because that's $3.99 too. It's such a good deal, you can knock out dinner and balance your budget in one fell swoop. Because if you're going to take out 2 birds with 1 stone, they ought to be delicious. Bojangles. It's bow time.
The great
Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce, who's celebrating their 95th year in business this year, would like to recognize their newest members.
Hi, I'm Corey Melton, the Vice President of Membership, and I'm proud on behalf of the Chamber to welcome our newest members from December and January. American Cancer Society, Bath Fitter, Bob Fish Homes, Body Mechanics, Physiotherapy and Fitness, David Cannon, Realtor with Eden & Company, Express Employment Professionals, iDope, Florida Floors, Growler Country, Homes and Land of Tallahassee, Jet Medical Center, Tallahassee, Not Responsible, Lull Water at Blairstone, Move, Office Depot, Osaka Japanese Steakhouse, Puff for Less, Stacy Lee Portraits, Strayer University, Telegen, Terminix of Tallahassee, The Refinery Bar Fitness Studios, Trail and Ski, and the Waffle House.
Golick and Wingo.
Through May and June, OTAs, minicamps, those are probably not going to happen.
And sooner than that, you're talking college football, because that starts earlier. I don't think people have wanted to really grasp the thought as, well, okay, this will all be over with by the summer, and in the fall we get back to normal.
Hope.
No, I'm saying that's a normal the thought was. I think now it's like, oh man, okay, is football going to be back? I really think it's starting to creep into people's mind.
Golick and Wingo, weekdays at 6 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Seminole headlines.
Kids, go see Angel Heart.
No, don't see that ever.
What?
Not anyone.
Well, I mean, I call people that are in their 20s kids. Okay. So, yeah, if you're over 18, see Angel Heart.
Don't see it. No.
Although it's a dark movie.
Oh, you think?
But it's great. I love it.
No, there's nothing good about it
at
all.
Oh, what do you?
No.
I
saw it when I was 11 or 12, and I'm never seeing it again.
Why were you watching that? What kind of parenting was going on in your house that you were watching?
We had a Blockbuster video, and I was allowed to just rent movies and watch them during the summer.
First of all, it was rated R. Why they let you rent?
My sister got it. My sister got it.
Yeah, that's not a movie for an 11-year-old.
Oh no, I know.
What about this? When he eats the egg?
No,
he eats the egg.
What are the questions?
When he eats the egg. Yeah. De Niro's a good.
He's a good.
In that movie.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on it early that who he was?
No. I was 11.
Tuesday night on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's funny. All the lists have made their way to us earlier than is customary. Normally we get to the dead of summer and the lists begin. But we do still have the upcoming NFL draft, and we do still have valid sporting moments, nuggets that carry the day. I was not surprised to see that Yahoo Sports, for example, had best teams ever, who was the greatest of all time. They're going across sports with that. But I was reminded of something just because of conversations we've had in the past. I was reminded a little bit of sporting moments. You and I were talking about it last week, the moment when we came together with our family or friends or whomever it was we saw our first live game with, and you walk down the hall, and you walk down the walkway, the entranceway there to a stadium, and you kind of saw the green grass for the first time or somebody's uniform. We talked about that last week, and I was thinking about, because of all these highlights, and because of all these shows that are on right now, all these retrospectives. This morning, for example, they had a Kobe Bryant 53-point game that was on. I watched highlights from that. They've been doing a lot of this. They're showing a lot of the Bulls stuff. By the way, I'm hearing that documentary, that 10-part series that they're doing, is going to get moved up. We're going to get to see it sooner. I'm really happy about it.
I would hope so. Apparently, it's going to be like a month's worth of programming.
It looks awesome. I mean, they got everybody to comment. The backstory on that, by the way, is this. I heard Bill Simmons talking about this one time. So Jordan's final season, the final championship year in Chicago, apparently they've got a ton of footage because there was this idea that people knew this was it. So they recorded for what would have been a documentary. Like the NBA wanted to do something. Lots of people did.
That's true. I can remember feeling that way. I remember being talked about that way.
Yeah.
The second three-peat was pretty much grand opening, grand closing for the Bulls as we knew them.
Yeah, and so what's weird is that apparently they did a ton of recording, practices, meetings. So you got a lot of footage collected of Phil Jackson interacting with Michael Jordan or Dennis Rodman or whomever, right? And then apparently in a lot of the footage that was collected, some of it's unflattering to Michael Jordan. Some of it's just Jordan being Jordan, the ultra-competitive red ass being ruthless to his teammates in practice to the point where one teammate cries, another time he throws a ball off the face of another teammate. Like, he was ruthless by all accounts. And I think Jordan owned the right to anything that he was in, and he just refused to let it. Eventually it happens. They win this championship, which ultimately culminates what they wanted, and he's like, no, that footage will never see the light of day. But then something happened along the way, and he's agreed to this. And so they took a ton of that footage from that season and from others that they had and then interviewed countless people that were in some ways either directly associated with Michael Jordan, tangentially associated with the Bulls. And so they have hours and hours and hours and hours of either footage from games, footage from practice, footage from meetings, conversations with coaches, players, agents, fans, competitors, you name it. That sounds awesome. I'm in for that, especially when you have somebody as polarizing as that guy.
Yeah, it sounds like overkill to me, but we're in a time where overkill is actually everything we need and more.
Well, yeah, you need content, but I don't know, man. I bet it's spectacular because he is. I mean, there are only a handful of athletes that you would ever put on the Mount Rushmore, since everybody loves to do that. It's him and it's Muhammad Ali. Tiger Woods is on that list, but there aren't too many. And most of the time, we can't get enough of those guys.
Sure.
They're so different from everybody else, even amongst the elite of the elite of the elite. They're a step beyond it, and you want to know how somebody can be that way.
I saw a clip. Well, yeah, and ruthless is a word. But then if you see him throwing a ball off a teammate's face and being an ass, that's different than the word ruthless, and that's what that's going to do. But I saw a clip today. It's an old one. It's been famous before, but if I've seen it, I've forgotten. It's Chris Paul hosting a camp. Did you see that going on? Okay.
Mm-mm.
So Chris Paul is hosting a youth camp, and Michael Jordan is a guest there.
Oh, geez.
Right. And, dozens of kids, at least a couple hundred, all around the half court. And Chris Paul says to Michael Jordan, if you miss a single shot, all of these kids will get free Air Jordans. And he agrees to the deal. And it's like 9 shots from all different spots. 3-pointer, mid-range elbow.
Does he make them all?
He makes them all. And the last one,
the kids are like crying.
Chris Paul puts his hand in front of Michael Jordan's eyes, and he bumps Michael's arm on the way up in the free throw. Nothing but net. And that was the final one. And I don't know how the story actually ended.
Kids probably didn't get the Jordans.
They probably didn't. But it's like the graphic. Have you seen the graphic with him? It's a black and white photo, and it says, F them kids.
Yeah.
That's one of those moments where Michael Jordan says, F them kids.
Well,
it might have been 1,000 too. It might have been more, but it's at least several hundred kids that are out Air Jordans, but because Michael hit all of his shots and he did so without any hesitation.
No. Yes. Well, it was a competition in the
That's
moment.
Right.
Well, the Wright Thompson piece revealed some disturbing things about Mike. But I will say I cracked up. He takes his commitments, especially if somebody has committed to him to the extent that Nike did, very seriously. And his son had a friend over who loved Iverson and wore Adidas, I think it was. Is that right? Did Iverson wear Adidas? I can't remember.
It was a rival brand, or it might have been within Nike. It wasn't Jordan brand or something like that.
No, but it was a rival brand. It was like Reebok or Adidas
Reebok,
or whomever it was. It was somebody. It could have been N1. I don't even know. But that kid came over to spend the night, and Jordan cut his sneakers up while he slept, but replaced them with Jordans, his size. I mean, how petty. You cut the kids. You couldn't just throw them away. Yeah. You could just take them and put them outside and say, don't come back in here with this, by the way. It's what you wear in my house. Mm-hmm. You had to cut up the sneakers.
No, that's right. He had to hit all 9 shots devised by Chris Paul to deprive kids of free Air Jordans.
That is really kind of awesome that he was able to hit all 9 shots.
And he's, in his 40s at that point. It looks like it's a younger Chris Paul, but still, Michael at that point, 9 in a row.
Well, remember he beat his own draft pick in 1-on-1 and made him cry at Charlotte.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Beat him down.
But the story was that once he got to the locker room, it's like a movie. He he's on the floor writhing in pain.
But he didn't show it there, and
Correct.
he beat him. That's kind of humiliating. You're 19 years old, 20 years old.
Walk off the court and made the wrong pick. Clearly.
It's just ruthless. Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's time to unite, Tallahassee. After years of our great local restaurants serving us, it's our turn to serve them. With this simple purchase of gift cards, we can help them survive the financial toll of COVID-19. Buy them for yourself, your family, or as gifts. No doubt we'll all have a reason to go out and celebrate soon as we safely can. Go to hungertohelp.com and show your support for the heart of our community today. This message brought to you in part by your local Tallahassee radio broadcasters.
Hey, everybody, it's good news, and we could use some good news right about now. Getting family dinners to go with curbside pickup at Bumpa's, well, it's easy to do, and it's all day, every day. You're going to want to pay with a credit card, bring your own PIN to sign the receipt, and they want to thank you, so do I, for supporting your local restaurants when they need it most. By the way, if you call, it's 850-999-8652. And here's Rick Pitino to give you the menu items.
Pasta alla vodka. You get chicken, garlic bread, and it's a nice round price. Secondly, you got 20 wings. You got chicken fingers too, fries, onion rings on the side. Nice, also good for the family of 4. 2 racks of ribs with mac and cheese and broccoli. You could sub in some fries or rings if you want instead too, but those racks of ribs, absolutely delicious. Just beautiful.
Or you can order, Rick, from the regular menu. It's bumpus349.com.
The whole shebang.
You know who thinks all wiper blades are created equal? People who've never been stuck with bad ones. Not you. You know what driving with average wiper blades is really like. Worrying about the rain, squinting through the streak marks, and of course, that tense feeling that comes when you can't see the road. For over 100 years, Trico has manufactured premium wiper blades to give you a clear line of sight in any weather conditions. Because on the road, every moment matters. If you're ready to leave average wiper blades behind, stop by your local Advance Auto Parts and get $10 off a pair of premium Trico Onyx wiper blades.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
Lisa's Paint and Body, now located at 2820 Mahan Drive. License number MV46050.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
Seminole headlines.
Kenny Chesney did go to East Tennessee State.
No kidding.
I'm all over it, buddy.
Studied advertising.
Look at me.
Was there in 1990. That's when he graduated.
Okay, obviously his life is good. Sitting on the porch or sitting on the beach, like when he's 70, I mean, is he going to look back and be proud of, like,
you talking about Kenny Chesney?
Yeah, his musical career. Like what the music, the art he brought to the world.
So you think he'll feel guilty for stealing Jimmy Buffett's thing?
I'm just asking,
and then
putting a twang to
mimicking it.
But my question, I'm not saying it's.
I don't think he'll feel that guilty.
Will there be a pride? I'm not saying guilty, but like, will he be filled with pride? Like
not the way a real artist.
I think Van Morrison or they're like
feeling good about what
I
they contributed to society.
humanity.
Yes.
I did something that elevated us as a species.
Like, I'm wondering
No,
if
Kenny Chesney cannot say
But I'm
that.
wondering if he thinks he did, is what I'm asking.
I hope not.
I
Like, if
wanna
Jimmy
know-
Buffett knew he was garbage and just admitted
Catchy
it
tunes.
and was like, I have a knack for writing these things.
I put the
and
theme music
creating-
to parties for
Yeah. I that's what I do.
white people.
I'm not writing anything of any significance, but I did. I created
They're
an
fun
element
songs.
that they're fun
They're
songs.
fun time.
There's a place for that. There's nothing wrong with that.
If he, as long as he accepts that and
Correct.
he knows that.
As long as he doesn't think he's Bob Dylan, then I'm
Exactly.
fine.
And I feel like Jimmy Buffett does. I wonder
I
about
think he
Kenny
does,
Chesney.
too.
Is he my tractor sexy guy?
I have no idea.
I think he's
a Pepsi commercial.
Don't act like you
They're
don't know.
all Pepsi commercials.
It was Kenny Chesney with She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy.
So do you think when he pinned that he thought...
Did he even write it?
Probably not.
I'll
But
look
do
that
you
up.
think that if he wrote it, he thought,
Holy
this is right
moly.
up there?
He did not. He
Blowing
did not,
in the wind.
He did not write
He
it.
did not write it.
Yeah.
No. But he put his personal touch to it.
I'm sure. The one that he stole from
It's
Jimmy
the 20th
Buffett.
anniversary of that tune, that fine ditty.
Is it really?
Yep.
Oh, you knew
1999.
that, Jeff. We were just talking about it the other day at lunch.
I was like, can you believe it's been 20 years since the
my
masterpiece?
sexy tractor.
She thinks
I
my
remember like it
tractor's
was
sexy.
yesterday.
Whatever it is.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It
Once
really
a week, I
turns
go
me
into a
on.
dark
Oh,
room
it really
and I
turns her
sit
on.
back and listen to the lyrics of that classic.
Yeah.
She's always staring
That's like
at
the
me
blowing in the wind of the
Yeah.
90s.
when
Yeah.
I'm chugging along.
Yeah.
It's like The Weight.
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's a little
lot
bit like
the
The
weight.
Weight. Yeah, it's a lot like that.
Tuesday night on 97.9 ESPN Radio. ESPN Tallahassee, in the palm of your hand.
So long, suckers!
The all-new WTSM app. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
Good article. Got to give credit where credit's due to Andrea Adelson. You can read the piece, and it will resonate some because the article is entitled How First-Year USF Coach Jeff Scott is Managing His Team During the Coronavirus Pandemic. And it's talking an awful lot about a guy who – and I thought this part was interesting, too, because I wondered how much of it he would use. But he had planned – at least initially, to bring an awful lot of what Clemson did to USF, implementing most of the same regiments, catchphrases, everything. I kind of was interested to see what that would look like because you'd get a glimpse of the innards of Clemson, which so many of us have not been able to see.
Right. And you'd also get a decent athlete for being a group of 5 team. You're in a pretty good area to get a 3-star player. It's not the same as a 3-star from the Dakotas.
Yeah, so the remake of the Bulls who went 4-8, we had talked about Jeff Scott in some capacity ending up in Tallahassee someday because of Brad Scott. But, Elliott and him and just the people behind the scenes with Clemson, there is the air of mystery to how they've sustained that success to some extent. And you wanted that to get broken up, and you were hoping for things like this to happen, like start hiring these people away, please. I mean, their players won't go to the league when they should. Can we at least get the coaches out of here? And now he's obviously stuck in the same situation that Norvell is stuck in, and he speaks to Andrea Adelson on the record about what they're trying to do and, how they're spending their time. And this is the great mystery for all these first-year coaches, or at least, he's a first-year head coach, but Norvell is not a first-year head coach, but he is his first year here. What are they going to do? And what can they do to aid the process that they implemented early on that has now come to a screeching halt? And it is an unprecedented test. And the more you can read about this and hear what all of these guys who are stuck in the same position are doing. I guess the more you educate yourself on where we're going to be at or what is possible, and surely there will be some innovations that come out of this. So
I got to tell you, I have a hard time focusing on that because I'm so worried for the ESPYs. You think the ESPYs are going to make it?
I hadn't thought about it.
I've been focusing on that.
I was like,
for
what
days.
is he talking about?
I'm just so worried, man. Are we going to get the ESPYs? I mean, that's July. What a barometer that is. If the ESPYs don't happen,
Scott holds weekly virtual team meetings 3 days a week. Players have position group meetings. There are also weekly offensive or defensive team meetings. You guys have strength and conditioning coaches set up private Instagram channels for workouts that players can do from home. In addition, players are required to spend at least 2 hours a day on academics. They must log their hours. Academic support is available to them at all times. Beyond the virtual meetings, position groups have their own group text chats with which they stay in touch every day. I'm assuming these same things are all happening. We heard as much from Coach Norvell to some extent about the virtual meetings. He entered that into the conversation early on.
Private workouts on a private Instagram feed. That's interesting. Because you don't want to disseminate that information. That's tough, though. You have to assume that somebody's going to get a password leak somewhere, somehow, and they're going to be able to see, whatever secrets that the strength coach may have or may offer. I think at that point, that's out the window. Greater connectedness and transparency. That's why I enjoyed the question you asked Coach Norvell last week, which was, you talking to anybody else? This seems like a time for the coaching community to put down the barriers and say,
start
how
talking
do we
to
all
each
get
other.
through?
Yeah.
How do we all get through this?
That's what I wanted to know. Was he talking to mentors? Was he talking to other coaches? Like, what are you going to do? What do we do? My kids asked me today, we went on a walk this morning, and we were walking my dogs, and we were just talking, and it occurred to me that they're always asking questions about the past because they're so little. One's 9, one's 12, and they don't have much of a frame of reference. And they want to know what happened, this year, or what happened during 9/11, Dad. They weren't alive for that. They don't know. And so I'm forever answering those questions, as parents do. And it occurred to me, I don't have an answer for a pandemic. It's never happened in my lifetime. And they're used to me saying, well, here's an anecdote. Here's something that, can help you relate, And so they asked me a question, and I said, I've not been through this. I went through the energy crisis when Carter was in office. I was a kid about your age. I said to one of my boys, I said, I can still remember waiting in lines to get gas. People were very, very, very fickle with what they did. They couldn't really spend any money. I remember a series of things that I've talked about where there were setbacks, and it was felt by the country. But this is new, and it's a sliver of your life, and you'll get through it, and it's going to be okay. But I can't give you anecdotes in which it's happened because I wasn't around for the 1918 Spanish flu, and I wasn't, and either was my grandmother.
Right.
So I don't have a frame of reference for things like this.
Well, that's the part that we're all looking for. Is you don't have to promise me, like you said earlier today, May 17th. But you got to give me a 2-week window. As soon as you know that we have like a window of time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And not a false one that you're going to extend once we get really close to it. Like you say, okay, here it is. I think that day will be celebrated by people almost as much as the day that we're released.
I got kind of excited hearing you talk about it, Tom. Just the idea.
Well, then I'm going to tell you what day it is. All you need to do to hear what day it is to send $10 to TomLang.com.
Sure. What do we got coming up next? Anything?
ESPN programming of some kind, I'm sure.
All righty. It's been real. Tough day. We didn't really give you much in the way of a candy apple.
As long as the ESPYs are okay, I'll be okay.
That's the message Tom Lang wants you to take with you tonight. Pray for the ESPYs.
Pray for the ESPYs. Hashtag pray for the ESPYs.
Good work, sir. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hang in.
Love to all.
We'll be here talking to you tomorrow. Peace.
John Gardell by Jezebel. You can't beat the house. You can't beat the house.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Need help moving? Two Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit twomen.com or call them at 850-224-2232. Two Men and a Truck.